I'd like to call this meeting to order.
Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to be here today. We pray for the wisdom and strength we can make the right decisions for our community. Bless everyone that has come here to have the wisdom and knowledge to listen to everyone. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Burnett here. Alderman Phillips.
Here.
Alderman Weaver.
Here.
Alderman Crockett.
Here.
Alderman Walker.
Here.
Alderman Fair.
Here.
Alderman Benjamin.
Here.
City Administrator Asbury.
Here.
Clerk Payne here. Mayor Vernon, you have a quorum.
Yes, sir. Consent agenda items, you should have meeting minutes from our last meeting and 2/23 rules. Any questions? Any of those items?
I make a motion we approve them and pay the bills.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. Okay, citizens participation.
Yeah, we asked, representatives from DNR to come to, we'd like for you guys to discuss the letter that we got yesterday. And then also, if there's any questions for you from anyone that's here, we would ask that you go ahead and answer those too, if you don't mind. You can step up to the podium if you don't mind as well.
You do have a sign sheet up there so I can get your names right.
Sure.
We got
Okay,
it.
you guys are good. We can weed this.
So, ready to turn this on?
No.
All right. So the letter that you received is, got a bilateral compliance agreement attached to it, and that's a cooperative agreement. And, you know, we're asking the city as the corrective action for the E. coli, total coliform positive problems that you had over the last, since last December. We're asking you to add disinfection, and that's the main thrust of that agreement. And so we ask you guys to look it over, look at the timelines and the language, and get back to us with any changes in language. You don't like you want to suggest a longer timeline, anything like that. We can, we'll entertain that and see what we can, we'll be in negotiations then, and we can hopefully, when we're both satisfied with it, then you would sign, and then that would be in effect, and we'd be working through that.
So, under the 90-day period, we've already had an initial meeting with our engineers regarding the permanent chlorination. Does that count as the beginning stages of our steps to do that, or are we talking 90 days as in the permanent chlorination has to be in place?
Well, if you need more time, just let us know. You've already taken the step. You're working with an engineer.
Yes, correct.
You got the process going, so yeah, we would entertain, like, if you want to say we need however long you think.
Okay. Scott?
I'll come up with a timeline
Okay.
for you because it's gonna take longer than 90 days to
Right.
get this accomplished on a permanent basis. Right now, you're on a temporary basis, we need to make it permanent. And of course, we're gonna have to then submit to DNR for their approval and so forth. So
Mandy, I'm sorry, who is this?
Oh, this is Scott Vogler. He works for Miko Engineering, which is our contracted engineer for the city that we have.
Just wanted to know, okay.
And I suppose I should introduce myself, Lance Dorsey from the Department of Natural Resources.
Is there any option to not chlorinate? Or are we just negotiating over timelines here? Because I have heard one person that wants chlorination.
Yeah, the series of events and the amount of total coliform positive and E. coli that you've had in our the rule that we're talking about is the revised total coliform rule, which, you know, it's a federal rule, you know, all 50 states have it. This series of events, you're supposed to find and fix the problem. Since we can't find exactly what your problem is, the fix is to add chlorination.
So if we upgraded our infrastructure and didn't chlorinate, that wouldn't suffice?
Well, you know, if you could, like, if you knew it was one water main, you could say, yeah, we know this is the problem. You know, we can trace it back to this stretch, and then maybe, like, you could say, okay, we're gonna fix this stretch of water main. Then maybe you would say, okay, well, you know where the problem is, but in this case, because we don't know where the problem is, and this is you know, a decent sized town, I don't see a scenario where you're able to, you know, replace the entire distribution system and in the next 6 months or something, and then say, see, we're all good now. We know everything that's under the ground. We don't have to add chlorination.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are you done?
I am at the moment, yeah.
Okay, so, hi, nice to meet you. So your role at DNR is what?
I'm the chief of compliance and enforcement.
Okay, so here are my questions. What research have you done on the negative effects of chlorine in water? There's a lot of studies out there that talk about it. It can cause cancer, it's terrible for your body, inhalation can cause fumes, can cause allergies and asthmatic reactions. What does that look like? There's a lot of things in the MAHA movement and the Trump administration that are really targeting the negative effects of chlorine, so that's a concern for me personally as a citizen, and sitting on the board for this town. To piggyback off what Chris is saying, the wells all tested correct, or good, if I'm not mistaken.
So that's correct.
So the problem is not in our well, so we would assume it's somewhere within our distribution system. So I think and please correct me if I'm going off the cliff here, but I think what we're saying is we understand the need to do some chlorination right now, because no one wants bad water samples, no one loves a boil order, it's not fun for anybody. But permanent chlorination, what does that really mean? Does it mean permanent, there's no going back? Does that mean we could do a 10-year water line replacement plan and continue the compliance agreement and work with you to come up with something other than permanent chlorination?
Well, I mean, I think I understand what you're saying, you know, your concerns. The town has gone this long without disinfection, so, you know, no one's, unless they've lived somewhere else, no one's used to it, they don't wanna smell it, they're worried about the health effects. Normally it's, we don't talk about it in terms of never going back, but, you know, once it's on, usually it's on permanently, and that's, you know, like everywhere, you know, any large city you can think of in the country, everywhere chlorinates. It's been that way. That's the original solution to having contaminated water, bacteria in the water, you know, in the old days, the old cholera outbreaks and all that stuff, you know, they started adding chlorine, I think somewhere around the year 1900 or so, you know, all around.
And I do understand that, but I also understand that there are recent studies that talk about bladder cancer, rectal cancer increasing due to chlorine in your body because of the negative way that your body reacts to that. And that's some recent things that have come to light. That's very concerning. Cancer rates are growing all over. The things that worked in the 1900s, we have a different world in the 1900s. Food was safer, things were safer. So I'm not trying to be argumentative. What I'm asking is this the only solution we have is permanent chlorination? Because our water system needs some love and needs some help. We are well aware of that. We are aware that our infrastructure is old. We are aware that it needs some fixing. There's water bonds that we can tap into if we have to. I think we have other avenues. The EPA just released the big thing about the loan and waiving the fees, and potentially be a long-term solution besides permanent chlorination.
Or how long can we stay on the temporary chlorination?
Well, I can't think of any way to make your water safe, you know, that, where you have a residual that stays in the system and keeps killing bacteria. I suppose if you wanted to propose a project, you know, like where you just said you replace the entire distribution system on some sort of timeline, and then you wanna reserve the right at the end of that to come back and say you wanna.
Right, after following all the steps, nobody wants unclean water, so I would definitely want the testing to continue and make sure that we're doing all the right things. But if the temporary is working now, correct?
But in the meantime, between now and when you replace the entire distribution system, I don't see any other solution than disinfection.
Okay, and I mean, we've had digging and water lines, things that are not normally a course of Eldon's water life. We've not had this issue before ever that I'm aware of. So we could probably point to some
Right.
factors that would indicate why or how something might have gotten introduced or happened.
I know that was especially back in around
Absolutely.
Christmas.
Which was not pleasant either, and for anyone. But that's what I'm saying, like, given our history, it's not like we're constantly, oh, we hit 13 months and so we're right under the radar. We've not had this issue before. So I personally would like to research some more options than just immediately going to permanent chlorination and seeing that's going to fix everything. That's my personal opinion. That's
Can
my
I
opinion.
say something real fast? So, yes and no on that. There actually was a period of time in 2019 where there was several months of total cold form samples in a row. And at that time, when the RTCR revised total cold form rule wasn't in effect, that probably would have had chlorination on at that point to resolve the issue. While E. coli is the main bad one, total cold form is still an indicator of E. coli. It moves in pockets, not streams. And so just because you have total cold form with one sample and not E. coli doesn't mean the water itself is safe. So St. Eldon doesn't have a history of it isn't completely true because we do have a sample history of that at that time. Now it's gone away. And for some reason now, maybe with the boring infrastructure upgrades and it came back. But there has been times in the past where it has been like that. I think Steve had stand up.
Well, now, we had a few TC samples, but we've never had E. coli.
Correct.
Ever.
But
I've
there
had
has
cold
been-
samples since 2005, so I know for a fact we didn't have no E. coli.
Well, I'm not saying it was E. coli back in 19, it was the total cold forms in a
Well,
multiple
we
period
had
of
a few
time.
TCs, but now, can you explain that TCs could be anything?
They can be. Now,
TCs
it's a
would
how.
not cause a boil order, correct?
I'm sorry.
TCs would not cause a boil order.
Not unless you have
Would
any
it
blood
not?
concentration, but we have seen systems that have had multiple total cold forms, put the chlorine on as a precaution, and then not have any of the problems down the road. Now, with TC, they're finicky samples. Air doesn't turn them off, your finger touching the cap, things like that. But usually when you have a licensed operator, accidents like that don't happen multiple times in a row.
Absolutely, and do you have, like, I'm sure we're probably not the only city that's ever had TC, I'm sure that's a common thing even in private wells, probably.
Private wells, I mean, almost every private well will have total cold form because they're not monitored sample. Now, city-wise, Eldon is the 141st most populated city in Missouri. Above that, 139 cities have liquid chlorine, gas chlorine, or chloramines. So if St. Robert and St. Clair are the only cities above your population that do not disinfect. So we don't ever see total cold form with them unless it's an extreme case.
Dalton, can you go ahead and explain, during our first boil order that we had in December, the reason that we were on that boil order so long was because of the TC samples. We only had an E. coli positive one, correct?
That's correct.
And then we continued to test positive for TC. Can you please explain that process so everyone understands it completely? Why we were not able to go off of the boil order because of those samples?
Of course. Real fast, my name's Dalton Young. I'm the supervisor for the inspection unit, and we were actually down here with Steve during local order events. And so we've actually worked with Steve throughout this whole process. So just so everyone knows who I am. The way the boil order happens, when one is set, there's a couple different ways. The most common way is you have total coliform is, again, an indicator of E. coli. Think of it like a house, and E. coli is a person. Usually you can have the house without the person, not the person without the house. So with that, there was a E. coli sample collected, positive from the distribution system. Our protocol is, after that, in 24 hours, we collect the repeat samples. We do that spot, a spot upstream, a spot downstream, and then any of the wells that were running at the time. We found, I believe it was one total coliform positive after that, which that having the indicator and E. coli was what we call confirmation of E. coli contamination in the water system. Now with that, in order to lift the boil order, we need 2 consecutive days of absent samples of E. coli and total coliform. Now when I say consecutive, that can be Monday, Tuesday, it can be Friday, Monday, but they have to be back-to-back quote-unquote business days. And the reason Eldon was not able to lift the boil order at that time was because within those repeat samples, you're still taking a minimum of 4, and I think at most he was taking probably 6 because he had 2 wells running at the same time. Out of those 6 samples taken each time, at least 1 was total coliform positive every time until mid-January or early January when the order was lifted. And that order was lifted after temporary chlorination at that point was installed. They shocked the system and they were able to get 2 days of clean samples. And then right after that, February, March, April, all had at least 1 total coliform positive sample. Every single one past that. If the shock was never done, this boiler was still been going on throughout those months because there was not 2 days of clean samples. When I say clean, I mean absent of total coliform and E. coli, not crystal clear clean like that. So when the shock was completed, they were able to collect safe samples, but then the next month after that, total coliform was back again. Now it wasn't E. coli until end of May, I believe, was when E. coli was. And that indicator throughout those whole months say that there was some entrance of contamination somewhere in the distribution system. The wells were always fine. I don't believe the problem is with the groundwater, the aquifer, the wells. We don't believe that's the issue. We believe the problem is in the lines and the towers somewhere throughout there. Now, when you're talking about a full distribution replacement, that could be a possibility that could be entered within the agreements. The problem with that is your service lines, that is your distribution lines, that is your tower lines. That's the lines from the well to the tower. That is a very long, expensive project that I'm sure is possible. I've not seen it be done within our region. And when I say our region, we regulate from Jeff City down to Lake of the Ozarks, and then California, Missouri, over to Lynn, Missouri. So just to give you an idea of the people that I see every day. In my region, I've not seen an entire new distribution project that wasn't a brand new system. So while I think that it's possible that can be a fix, I don't know how feasible that actually is. I'm not an engineer, so I will leave that to the engineering professionals. But just from in my experience, I don't know how feasible that would be. Permanent chlorination, or I'm just gonna refer to it as chlorination versus the permanent versus temporary, just so we can all stay on that page. Chlorination has been a very effective way of killing E. coli and bacteria. To give a reference, we have some communities or some systems down the Lake of the Ozarks that did have contamination inside their groundwater aquifer. And with enough chlorine, they were able to kill the E. coli at a constant rate to where it is safe for the public to drink. And once again, when I say safe, I mean it's absent of E. coli and total coliform. So, back to my original point of, you guys are 141st estimated highest population city in Missouri. There's 139 above that do chlorinate. And to your point with the health effects, I'm sure that at some point there may be studies linked to it. As we all know, there's studies that says everything may be harmful. Enough water, we have seen, can be harmful.
Do you recommend fluoride in the water?
I cannot recommend, I cannot advocate, and I cannot de-advocate for fluoride in water.
That was a recommendation at one point from DNR, and they took that out because of it being harmful, correct?
I'm not going to speak on the aspect of fluoride because per our policy we have to remain neutral on fluoride. So I cannot have a yay or nay on fluoride itself.
You don't tell me. Okay, so when we're talking about our distribution system, where we got TC, was it contained in one area or more than one area? Because I'm not sure people know that.
It was contained in one area. The problem with that is, that's the only area that was being sampled. There was not sampling routinely at the outskirts. It was mostly down to, I'm sorry, I don't remember the street names, but kind of near the community center, the fire station.
Downtown area.
Yes, that was where it was concentrated at.
Speaking of the second oil order, correct? Because the first oil order, we were testing all over the city.
After some adjustments, yes, but the initial, like all December was that initial, we were trying to figure out exactly where the contamination was coming from. Now, the second one, I think it was Mill Street, is where the E. coli came from down there. And then upstream and downstreams did show positive for run for that.
I mean, I know you know where I'm going with this. If we fixed our distribution center in those areas that we know were problematic, would that be something DNR might negotiate with us, saying, hey, we fixed the distribution center in these areas, can we go back to not chlorinating for a while and see how we do?
So my least favorite word in the English language is never, because I don't want to say it's not ever possible. That would be a conversation between the city and not just myself. It would be our engineering folks, our people who monitor the bacteriological site stuff. So it'd be a bigger conversation, but it's possible, I mean, everything's possible in this day and age.
Has it ever happened before?
Not to my knowledge in recent history.
So you're saying there's hope?
So I have a question that might also help the board. I have multiple advanced certifications in food safety and sanitation and whatnot. The FDA, specifically in ice cream production, suggests that total coliforms be no more than 10 CFU. So in ice cream, one of probably the most perfect food for bacteria and pathogens to grow in, the FDA allows, or they suggest that you not have more than 10 CFU. Laboratories will tell you not even to be concerned until it gets over 20,000 CFU. Now, obviously, E. coli has to be, it's there or not, it has to be absent. So my question is why, if the FDA allows in the perfect food for bacteria to have 10 CFU, why does it have to be 0?
So the way the bacteriological samples are analyzed is they're not colony counts, as the CSU indicates. It is all or nothing. One CSU will throw a flag or a total coliform positive. Now, I'm not the scientist who's actually analyzing the samples. I just get the results every day in the spreadsheet. But that's my understanding of it. And FDA and EPA, as we all can imagine, the city government, are very, very different. EPA has a focus on the more public health aspect of the drinking water, and they want it to be as safe as possible by saying it's all or nothing. There is a way to do colony counts, but it's not standard practice as our lab's concerned. So one CSU or CFU will just trigger total or positive. So why it originates like that, I can't tell you. I was not here in the 70s when they wrote these laws, but that is just the standard practice that is today.
You said we were 139, is that correct? There are 700 and some communities in Missouri. Of those, how many of them use the chloroform?
I don't have a actual count in front of me. The only query I ran was cities hired to have a better example. I can tell you just from knowing the area and working it every day, you know, our county districts do, like Camden County, Miller County is not a county district, Osage County does, Phelps County, so even your counties outside the city limits do. Rolla disinfects with gas chlorine, Waynesville disinfects with gas chlorine, Jeff City does. So I don't have an exact number for you citywide or statewide. I just ran a query from most populated down to Elton, just to give a better example.
What about St. Louis, Kansas City, Springfield, Columbia, do they all do that?
They do, and part of that is because Kansas City and St. Louis are surface water plants. As you will probably hear from Missouri American a little bit, surface water has to disinfect because you're taking water from rivers and reservoirs. But Columbia actually is groundwater and they do disinfect.
With the people that you work for in Missouri down the lake, is there anyone else that's not chlorinated that you work with?
Not community population wise about this size.
Smaller? Is there?
Smaller, I would have to look down in my records. I can't remember off the top of my head if Camdenton is or not, or if Lake Ozark is or not. I think Lake Ozark is chlorinated, but Camden might be the only one in Stillwater, might be the only ones around the size that way.
But we said like St. Robert's doesn't, right?
St. Robert's is not.
Okay, so St. Robert's is not coordinating, and there's still no issues there.
Nope, total coliform doesn't really appear out of the sky. It just, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. When you have major line work, like the mooring, or you have infrastructure upgrades, or sometimes infrastructure degrades, wherein you're not replacing lines, or you're not keeping up with proper maintenance, stuff like that, it can introduce contamination. So St. Robert's, I can't speak for what they're doing on a daily basis. I just know their samples come back fine. Now, they still do have disinfection. They have fluoride. Now, fluoride will not kill the bacteria, but it still will be classified as disinfection.
How long do we have to negotiate with you?
This much.
Okay, so once we start, we gotta sign and say that we're gonna start doing something, and we got this letter, and then we have some time to talk and a little bit.
I believe in the letter, it says until August 13th to sign it. If you guys need more time, as long as you show that you're actually working with us to make an agreement and not just saying, get out of town, we don't ever want to see you ever again, we can make those timelines negotiable, as well as the engineering. We're not here to hit you guys with a hammer and say, get in compliance. We want to make this agreement, it benefits the city, benefits the residents, and it complies with our laws and regulations that we have. So we're not trying to come down here and, get you guys in the toes and say, get to it. But we wanna make sure that what you guys are gonna do is feasible for the city as well.
Dalton, I don't think my question was answered. How long can we stay on temporary chlorination?
August 13th. That,
And we're done.
that would be the permanent chlorination. It would go from temporary to permanent. Once this order is signed, agreement is signed, it will transfer from terminology-wise, temporary to permanent.
But if we're in negotiations.
That's why we need to start negotiating soon. We gotta decide what we want.
We would obviously continue to keep temporary chlorination until we figure out
So
if that's allowed.
the department does not recognize temporary versus permanent chlorination. It is, you are chlorinating. There is not a regulatory difference, there is not an operational difference, it's just, when we normally see temporary chlorination, it'd be a lot like what happened in January, where a chlorine pump was installed and it did it for a day or two and flushed the system out. Yeah, emergency chlorination is the more common term for it.
Which is basically what we're doing right now, is emergency chlorination.
Well, long-term emergency chlorination is what would probably be classified at this point. Now, that being said, during emergency chlorination, a lot of times, the residual is not read on a daily basis, because it's used just for a day. Now, what the forest department is doing, and has been doing a good job of, is reading these chlorine levels every day, and they've been calling me with any issues that they have, or any questions they have, to make sure they're doing it right. And so, I think it's also important to recognize the work that they've been putting into it, to make sure that they are also keeping the chlorine at the safe levels, because chlorine can be a little bit iffy if you go over a certain part per million, and they've been doing a good job of keeping it going into a good amount that it's killing bacteria, but not also burning your eyes when you take a shower.
So if you don't recognize permanent versus temporary, then why does it say permanent in that letter?
Because when we say that, it is because we want to know, let the city know that the chlorination is there to stay. It is not, you can put it on for a month and then take it back. But operation wise, there's not.
Continuous?
Continuous would probably be a good term to use. The reason we did say the permanent though is just to make sure it's very clear and there's no looking at it from the side and trying to find anything.
So what's the repercussions to the city if they say no?
So if the city does not agree to terms, or we cannot reach an agreement, at that point, the city would be referred to the compliance and enforcement section, which Lance is also over, to do formal enforcement actions, which could include an administrative order. At that point, that would also talk about chlorine and other corrective actions at that point.
So
And if that order is not,
So you're saying you can force it on us even if we don't want it?
I'm not gonna say force. Lance can speak better to that process. Obviously, once that happens to compliance and enforcement, my team kind of takes a step back,
Yeah.
because they have jurisdiction over that part. So if Lance wants to speak on that, he can.
If you did, so if the city rejects this bilateral compliance agreement, then we would probably open up a formal enforcement case, and then we would come back to the city in the same sort of negotiation way and say, we'd like you to enter a administrative order on consent, which is a more formal version of this bilateral compliance agreement. We would negotiate the terms. There may or may not be an upfront penalty in that one. I'm not, like that whole process would go through our management, so we'd open up the enforcement case, we'd put it up, it goes all the way up to our director for approval to say, proceed with this action. And then we would enter negotiations. The negotiation would go on, for a long time, as long as you were talking to us. And then, you might, you could come up with some ideas that we would entertain that wasn't chlorination, like maybe Alderman Walker's thinking, but I probably, in the end, we would only see this chlorination as the solution in this case. So we would be, we would be asking the city to do that if you didn't agree.
You're not really asking if you're finding us for not doing what you're telling us to do. I mean, honestly, it's not like we're asking the people of Eldon if they want to be on this. I mean, honestly, that's what I'm saying. We have no choice is what this comes down to. So if we don't do it with Dalton, then we go into enforcement, which incurs penalties for every time that we go against what you guys say or if we don't want to do it. Is that accurate?
The penalties would be for past violations, and it's really a small amount.
But to a small town that's fighting infrastructure, any amount is a big amount.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd be surprised how low it is. It's
So we can just pay the fine and ignore it?
no,
if it's a small amount, we just ignore it and just keep it.
I mean, because here's the question. So why would we want to spend the money to fix our infrastructure if you're saying, hey, you're going to have to do this, and this is going to fix your problem anyways?
Because you want it cleaned down.
I understand that, but why fix this?
And it all starts with the sewage. We got homes here in this town that have clay pots.
Hang on, we're talking about water right now.
I know, but that leaks into our drinking water.
I want to say, I hope it doesn't agree with coming at you as a confrontational spirit. I think we need to fix our clean water. Nobody on this board wants it. We all drink it too. We don't want E. coli, we don't want unsafe drinking water. But should we not want chlorination? What I'm asking is, if we can come up with something that will work. It may be 5 years before we can get it finished. But 5 years and then nothing, no chlorination is better than total chlorination for the rest of our life, for decisions that we're making for our kids and grandkids and people in this town 50 years from now. We have to fix our infrastructure anyway. So I think what I was just asking is there a way to negotiate something that could maybe get us through this and out of chlorination eventually?
That is something the city can propose and a counterpart to the agreement. I'm not asking to sign this agreement right now as is. I want you guys to look it over, talk to it, and propose something back to us. If that's something you guys want to try to propose, I'm happy to put that to management. I can't promise that, yes, we will agree to that, but something that we will at least talk about internally.
And so you guys know, we've done something similar to that on the sewage side before. With our collection system, we could spend so much money in collection side for 2 years. And we did a good job of that. I hope they did a good job of that. To get out of some of those issues. So maybe that's something we can propose in the next 8, 10 years, we're gonna replace this.
I mean, it's a lot. We are a small town. I'm sure you see this every day. You deal with cities our size. It's a lot. This is not a new problem. We didn't wake up yesterday and think, man, our water lines takes a lot. We've been thinking, it's just, there's a lot of funds and you know how it works. You work for government. I get it. I'm just asking you. Because the regulations are very unclear to somebody who doesn't read them all the time and know what your options are.
It makes it challenging, right? Because we've been
non-chlorinating this water for how long? And then in 2019, we had a blip, I guess, and then we had these issues here recently because we're upgrading our town, we're doing infrastructure stuff, new gas line, new this, new that. And then now we're gonna get penalized to the point where now we're gonna have to do a permanent solution for something that was not a permanent situation. Like we're in the process of making things better. And then yes, we hit a couple of road bumps and now the knee-jerk reaction is, okay, you have to do this permanently. I think that's what's not sitting well with a lot of us, because we've had a great track record. We've done the due diligence of taking care of our water lines, and now we're upgrading, and now we're getting slapped on the wrist because we had a couple bad months of, issues with all the boring and everything else we've been doing. So that, I think that's why we want to counter corrode and say, hey, we don't want this permanent fix. It would be different if it was every year, right? Every year we're having the same issue and nothing's changing. That's different. But considering the track record in the time period and the things we were doing during these time periods, I think there's gotta be a way where we can work with each other and just have an understanding. We're fixing things, fixing the infrastructure. The citizens don't want permanent chlorination. We want to support our city in that process, but we also understand we're gonna start replacing these lines and try to get things fixed. I think that's what we're kind of coming to.
I have one more question. Down the road, when you do permanent chlorination, is there an option for homeowners to do like whole house filtrations so we don't have to have a chlorine in our home?
So after the meter, we do not regulate. If after your meter curb stop and homeowners.
But are there filtration systems available to put on your home? I don't know.
It's actually pretty easy to remove, chlorine.
I mean, I do
in
with
this
my
form.
drinking water, I use a Brita filter, but I'm talking about like the shower, do our
Yeah.
laundry.
Because a lot of times the regular carbon filter, like that's in your fridge, or the one you attach to your faucet, and now I see them, they sell them for shower heads. This one, chlorination, is easily removed, and you can even, if you're, if you've ever had a fish tank and you have, well, you haven't had chlorinated water. But in the old days, when you're on a chlorinated system and you have a fish tank, you fill up the jugs of water, you leave it sit overnight, the chlorine dissipates, and then you can use that water in your fish tank. That would still be possible on this simple chlorination that isn't chloramines. And then everyone would have the option to not drink the water in their house if they wanted to do something like you're
I mean,
proposing.
I'd rather buy my water from Eldon than go to Walmart and buy bottled water. That's what I'm there for. But I'm not gonna drink bleach.
How do we know that the chlorine, since we've been chlorinating, how do we know that the chlorine hasn't taken care of the DC for testing with the chlorine still going? Shouldn't we, instead of cleaning the biofilm stuff that's in the pipes?
So when you are testing for your routine samples, there's a little bitty white powder of sodium disulfate in that jar. That will actually dissipate all the chlorine in that sample, so you're actually getting a true water source of what is there without the chlorine in it. So at that point, the chlorine's already killed what's in the lines, and you're testing the water quality itself at that point. That's how we know that the chlorine is working.
Dalton, if you don't mind, could you explain to some of the board on some, there's 1 through 6 or 7 on the first page of stuff you sent to them?
On the statement of facts?
And let them know that we've met.
Yeah, of course. So, has everyone had a chance to at least look at the bilateral compliance agreement? If not, for the board, I did bring copies. The statement of facts on technically the first page of the agreement is just an overall view of the history of the system in the last about 36 months. And this covers not just E. coli, this would cover any kind of either regulatory compliance or out of compliance issue there is. As the board's probably aware, a routine inspection of the system was conducted in, I believe, April. And so this does have some of that stuff on there from the inspection, and it's kind of like an agreement to get you back fully into compliance. Rather than focusing just on chlorine and E. coli, we wanted to give you guys one package agreement to get the entire city back to compliance status. And so on here, your first statement of fact is just the city itself. It's the address, the people who are contacts. Number 2 is city hall address. Number 3 is GPS coordinates. And then, I'm sorry, 2 is part of that too. Number 3 down to number, I believe it is 7, talk about anything that the compliance will probably touch on to get back into compliance. Starting off with number 3, that just talks about the wells, when they were drilled, and how they're used. Number 4 defines what we regulate as a public water system, 25 residents at least 60 days out of the year for a community system. And then number 5 talks about E. coli's, which we are well aware of. Number 6 talks about a public notice that was not completed. I have already talked to Steve about this. This one's being handled, so number 6 will be taken care of. And number 7, tied into number 6, that is due to an EPA initiative about lead service lines, where the city has to notify customers who have lead, galvanized beam replacement, or an unknown type of service connection in their home. The city has to verify that information, and if they don't, they have to send letters out every year to all the customers. That was not completed, but I'm working with Steve, and he's getting that done. So 6 and 7 will be combined and taken care of. But that was just a statement of fact we put on here, because at the time I wrote this, that issue was not resolved.
Can I ask about, what is number 6?
Number 6, the system failed to distribute and certify public notice linked to a violation for December 2025. That is that lead service line inventory violation. That's one of those issues.
Just let the board know, we've been working with that, and at the time, we did a study, maybe you're well aware of it, we had spent a lot of money on it, but we didn't know at the end of that, every year, we have to notify all these people. So that's when I contacted Miko and I talked to Dalton about it, and we've gone through, Kaylee, 830?
990 plus.
Well, altogether 900. So we've going through them, and they're in 3 different categories that we are sending out letters to. So we've been working on that to get back. That's the only thing left in compliance that we have to do during the inspection.
And what do we do if we can't get into the homes to verify the line?
We'll just have to keep sending letters every year until we do.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not an expert on lead service lines. My area of focus is inspections and compliance with those inspections.
And that's an EPA, correct? That's
Correct.
not DNR, actually.
Yes.
I just wanted you guys to understand that.
Any other questions?
I have one quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
You kind of really skirted around the fluoride, so how many years did y'all support the fluoride in the water, and then those studies came out, and now you're kind of starting and dancing around it? How long before that's what declined to?
Honestly, I can't tell you, because we only regulate the fluoride, we don't actually study the fluoride. I can tell you from 2019 to now, about 30 cities have discontinued fluoride. And that is about the information I have, because when we're on inspections, we're just looking at, is the city tracking it? If they are, that's good. We don't actually study fluoride, that's more Department of Health that handles that.
Yeah, they put that into the law that we couldn't have an opinion on it, so it's,
But when did that take effect?
it's been a long time. It's been, I don't know, at least 20 years, I think. Department of Health, definitely in favor of it. But it's up to the community, and we just work with the community whether or not, so if the city did decide to add it, we help you monitor it, but we don't have an opinion about whether or not you should or you shouldn't have it.
But 20 years ago you did.
Not that I recall, but I'm not sure when that went into effect, but we definitely are supposed to remain neutral.
Other questions? No, thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for clarifying all of that.
You're good. We know who you guys are. We appreciate you. Okay, we're gonna open it up for other citizens' participation. Yes. Yes, please, come on up. Yeah, sign your name, please.
This is for you, Mary, because it's information that I did.
Sure.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ori Beck, and, I live on North Street, West North Street. 5 years ago, I was in this room, telling, the city administrator, which was a different person, and Ellen Alderman about, the main sewage pipe that was installed in these homes of clay, and that ours was, destroyed. It was gone. As I looked down in the hole, and I looked at the gentleman who has a respective business here, Ray, that was doing the work, I looked at him and I said to him, how many homes in this town have this problem? The exact words were, a lot. That was 5 years ago. Since then, we haven't tried to fix the problem. The city administrator said that we have a program, we have money set aside that we can help the homeowners fix their main sewage, which needs to be fixed. I guess what I'm trying to say is, shit rolls downhill. Every time there's a storm, every time, and in the last 5 years we've had E. coli. And I didn't realize that when I moved here 10 years ago, that I'm from California, we have reserves, reservoirs and dams. I didn't realize that our drinking water comes from underground. I'm not trying to put the blame on you, I'm just saying that this needs to be addressed. There's a program that St. Louis, Kansas City, St. Joseph, Springville, they all have it, where homeowners put money aside. I mean, there's millions of people that live there, so I'm saying we have, 2,600 homeowners in this town that own homes. What is $25 a year? What is $40 a year? Where we could help the single moms or the young families that are coming in here and can't fix that problem. Because it does seep into our drinking water. Maybe not now, but it will. And that is an issue. I mean, I lived in that hole, and I have been living there 5 years, and the feces and crap that was hardened, sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I was so sad and sick. There's a lot of homes in my neighborhood over there that have sewage problems. That backs up, but maybe they rent a home, they're not telling their landlords, maybe the owners just have put a Band-Aid on it or not addressing it. We have 50 homes coming in here, amen, but we have a lot of new homes, which I'm sure they're all connected into the sewage and into the, but these homes that these people are buying or flipping houses, are they accountable for those sewage, main sewages? I mean, we need to fix this, and it has to be addressed. Our water, which American Water, whatever, that might be a great idea, but we can't just expect them to come in here when we have a shit problem, we have a sewage problem, and we put money aside, I don't know, that's why I gave you a program where I would be willing, I'd throw $40 at pizza every Friday. So, I mean, we could put this to help others. I personally have mine fixed and had my water lines fixed. And my husband, thank God he can do it. But that's also about water lines, programs about our state and other states that have, programs that we can get money to fix these lines so we don't have Thanksgiving 3 years ago, boom, water line, old rusted pipe, a hole in it. Thanksgiving, we were digging it and fixing it. But not everybody can do that, but we, as a community, we are so blessed to live here. And we can put money aside and fix it. I think it starts at home. I think if we try to fix this, put money aside, where, okay, so you own nothing over 6 units, that money can fix 6 units, but if you own a whole bunch of units, you can't, I don't know, it's all broken down how structure and you can fix it, and I just think we need to fix it. We need to fix our sewage, because it does seep into our ground, and it will seep into our drinking water. I've lived on reservations, it does seep into the drinking water.
So you're talking on private property?
Yeah, residential, and this money wouldn't go for like businesses, just residential homeowners. And I think there's 2,600 homeowners in this town. And if you times it by whatever, $40, $25, whatever, it's a start to get it going. And it's money that doesn't need to be paid back, it's just every year. So until we get it fixed, you know, every house in our city needs to have a sewage, a main sewage. You can drive down the streets, and if you see where they cut out the asphalt, and you see the concrete, you know that they got a pipe there. But every other house doesn't. So I addressed this 5 years ago, and the city administration, which is not here, but McMahon, said, oh, we have a plan, we have. It is not, no, they haven't done anything. That's when we were still working on altar lights, whatever, the pilot lights for our sewage. That's fine and dandy, but we need to start working on our own homes and helping others in this community. And if we can put money aside and help this, not tax, this money aside, a program, and that's what I gave you, is information with St. Louis, Kansas City, all, St. Joseph, they all have this program. And we just need to fix it.
So, board, any questions, concerns, comments?
Something to look at.
I mean, it has to be addressed, because there's homes right now, as we speak, that I know of in my neighborhood that have raw sewage underneath their homes, but they can't afford to fix it.
Do you guys know any of these programs? How do they do that? Do they bid out whenever they go to work for those? Because if that's on private property, how does that happen?
No, they're not grants, it's our money, it's our citizen money, putting into the city of Eldon.
Maybe we have a hard time getting people to pay their water bill alone, but they're not gonna get an extra money from it.
Well, but maybe my more of a concern is if we say, hey, we're gonna go help these people, we're gonna do 10 to 15 houses, how in the world would we do that? I mean, we're taking public money for a private entity.
So we're talking about eliminating septic systems?
No, I'm talking about fixing the clay pipes that were put in
Talking about
1920
old
and 30 that
infrastructure,
are no longer
private
there.
property. I don't know how to do that with public funds without.
Well, it
doing
would be
a big
citizens funds, it'd be a,
Yes, the
it
people are
doesn't,
gonna donate to help pay for that.
No.
People can't afford it.
every year, a homeowner should have to pay $25 to that fund. If you own 146 homes in this town, you can't tell me they can't afford $25. If you're building all this new infrastructure, and, okay, what about the homes that have been here since when we started? Those homes need to be fixed. People that are buying homes and turning them around, is there someone to regulate them? Are they connecting to the main sewage, or is it still, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying, we need to stay on top of this, because it's gonna get worse and worse, and we're gonna be a sinkhole. This town will not.
We'll take a look at that. You should put your phone number down there.
Yeah, it's all right there. Okay.
I will forward this to the board so they can.
Okay,
look at it.
thank you.
Anything else, anyone? Others on this subject, anything?
Okay, I just have a super quick question. So, in Missouri, specifically in Eldon, who owns the water rights to the water that we use? Does the city own it, or does DNR own it?
What are you asking? The reservoir underneath the ground?
Who owns the water rights?
No one, Missouri's not a water rights state, so it's, like they have out west. It's not like,
So anybody can drill a 1 million gallon a day agricultural well, no permission, no water
DNR
rights,
gives them
no
permission.
I mean, you couldn't do that inside the city limits, and then if you ended up being a major water user, I think you have to notify DNR. But yeah, there's
There are no water rights, owned water rights.
but once you have the approved well, yeah, you can pump as much water as you want out of the ground.
remember when you guys were looking at this and making a budget for this. I know you said we're ranked what number on the number of population? 141. You know what our median income is for the city? 300. Yeah.
I don't.
300, so who's gonna pay for it? That's the problem we have to look at. We have to remember this, guys. We don't have an influx of money to help pay for this stuff. And we gotta keep it away from the people on fixed incomes, low incomes, and people that can't afford it, right? I know we're talking about $40 here and there. People don't even pay their water bills, right? So whatever solution we come up with, even if American Water has their greatest solution, we gotta remember these people that have been in this community for years. They can't afford even $40 more a month because they're on fixed incomes, right? We don't have a lot of income in here. We don't have a lot of taxable income, or we wouldn't be ranked 300 in the population. That's part of our problem is, I think, from the city is we don't have funds to fix the problem right now, and they've tried. You guys have gone through grant opportunities, funding opportunities for the government. We've got our representative involved, and there's no support there. So maybe you can help us with support from the state to say, hey, help fund these guys so they can fix their water problem. I mean, you want to find us, but you don't want to help support us. I mean, you are by helping us get the water, so I understand that. But financially, we got to have the funds to pay for it.
So there is a program within the department called the Financial Assistance Center. That is a group of team members who their whole job is to get funding assistance for public water supplies for various projects. There are some limited grants, but there's also, I guess, bonds, would be a better word for it, a very small like return loan to where it's below market rate for that. And I don't have numbers in front of me, so I apologize about that. But that is an option if you find out that chlorine is the best solution for now on, and funding is an issue. There is opportunities within the department to help fund the projects.
I'm assuming you need audits for that?
I'm sorry.
I'm assuming you need audits for that?
Possibly. I don't work in that team, so I don't know all the requirements. I see the outcomes from it.
Is the funding available only if we go with fluoridation, or for anything that we would choose to negotiate with you to come up with a plan for?
The funding is for a vast array of projects, not just for chlorine. You have seen it for infrastructure upgrades.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, fire department. Got anything we need to know about? Fireworks went off great, looked like it, even though we had a crazy storm.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a mess.
Yeah, good deal. Steve?
We've been actually really busy. As Dalton said, the guy's been working 7 days a week checking chlorine. So, just a quick update on the trail. We haven't get back on the trail. We're hoping to get back on that pretty quickly. So I know Tim was wanting a little bit of update. We've made it to the drive-in. We got to start the crosswalk there. We've got with the state. We found out what they need to do to concrete everything back. And we're working with the county. The county's gonna try to come up with a grader to grade down, make it a little easier on us. That way our machines ain't out there. It's hard to hold grade that far with skid steer and back up. So they're gonna help out. So we're gonna plan on jumping back on that too. So you'll be seeing us working on that too. Cody's been getting the guys out trying to go patch again today. So they're trying to work that out. We've been having a few people leave and hiring some back as quick as we can. So we're trying to keep moving forward. But I want to thank all the guys, fire department, police department, everybody worked long hours on 4th of July. So I think it's a good turnout. So that's all I have, sir.
Yes, just a reminder, on the 16th, that the city hall workers will be working on the archiving and things. They had a day scheduled last month for it, but the boil order kind of canceled that. So we're gonna try to do that. They will be at the building if there's some kind of emergency, but it will be locked.
Okay, presentation by American Water. Stage is yours.
Mayor, council, I want to thank you all for inviting us here tonight to introduce ourselves.
My name is Matt Nolker. I'm the Director of Business Development from Great American Water. Tonight, I have with me Aaron Allen, who is our Senior Director of Business Development. I have Curtis Wheat, who is the Manager of our operations in Jeff City. And I have Aaron Lockowitz, who is our Lead Water Quality and Environmental Compliance Program Manager. So, got a few people with us tonight, and hopefully we can answer some questions for you. Technology. Our computer tried to put it on me earlier, so now the mouse is going to work. Okay. So we're going to go over a few things tonight. This is the agenda, kind of what I'm going to try to cover. Council, we've given you all packets. If you can't see the screen from where you're sitting, there's slides in there to go right along with what we've got up on the screen. So who are we? Well, I'll just say it, okay? Everybody's like, oh, big company. Yeah, we're a big company. Our national company is American Water. We're the largest water and sewer utility in the United States. We are on the stock exchange, but we've been in business for 140 years. One of our oldest water systems is right here in the state of Missouri, in St. Joe, Missouri. We're not only the largest water system in the United States, but also in the state of Missouri. 1 in 4 people in the state of Missouri are served by American Water. We treat more than 1 billion gallons of water daily. So it's a big company, but we like to pride ourselves on the fact that we've got local people in all of our locations. We have 7,000 people here in the country that work for us. A little over 700 in the state of Missouri. Here's a map of our 14 states. The blue states are our 14 states we're currently operational in. You'll see that we are in 18 military bases as well. Fort Leonard Wood, I believe, is one of ours here in the state of Missouri. So we have 1,100 treated water storage facilities. I mean, we're talking. We've got the knowledge of what we're doing because we have good resources because we're spread across the country. We serve a little over 200 communities here in the state of Missouri. There's a nice list of some communities there. Somebody brought up St. Louis earlier. We serve almost all of St. Louis County, about 90 municipalities in the county. Like I said, St. Joe's our oldest system here in the state. Joplin, Jeff City, but we also have some smaller communities. I live in Lawson, by Kansas City. We have 2,600 people in our town, and American Water serves us for both water and sewer. Right there by me, we have Oric and Wood Heights as well, and they're smaller as well. But we also serve communities like Parkville, communities like Arnold that are middle-sized communities. So we're all across the board, all across the state. So, like I was saying, we're the largest company in the United States. Well, and the largest one in the state. That gives us the opportunity to have expertise in water and wastewater operations that a lot of communities just can't have. As much as you try, and you have good people, you don't necessarily have the resources to train or to update your system as quickly and as often as you would like. So we have both water and wastewater operators, we have our own engineering and customer service. So it's all inclusive in everything that we're able to offer, from design to service in the field. I know this is a question that the staff's gonna have. I know there's a lot of staff here tonight, okay? I worked for the city of Lawson for 6 years. I was on the council when we voted to sell the water system, and then I became the city administrator as we were going through the process. And my employees, both as councilman and as an administrator, were scared of the idea. So it's a lot of change, and change is always hard. But I will tell you that my employees who went to work at American Water, because as you can see on my second part of the slide here, we want the local knowledge in our systems. We want people that know the systems, know the community, we want local people, and usually we work out a deal with the city that we can hire some of the staff over, is our goal, to bring them on and run the system locally for us. But we want that insider knowledge, because you guys know where the water lines are, and if we bring in a crew from outside the city, we don't know anything but what your maps say. Well, everybody knows the maps lie. It may be 20 feet away, it might be on the other side of the fence, you just never know. What we pride ourselves on though is that we have industry-leading compensation benefits. That was the piece that my employees were most concerned about, was what's it gonna be like when I go to work there, and knowing the situation our town was in and what we were paying, every one of them received a better paying job and better benefits than what we were allowed to give them at the city. We just didn't have the resources. We also work very hard to train and certify our employees. These gentlemen here both worked their ways up through the company. I know Aaron started out working in the field. The opportunities for career advancement are really there with our company. These are our most recent communities that we partnered with. Neosho's closing right now. Neosho came to us because they had pretty significant infrastructure issues. They had sorry. Sorry about that. They were losing 67% of all of their water out of their system. So they were producing twice more than what they really needed. They had major leak issues around town. The sewer plant in that community, part of it, was installed during World War II. It was on the military base just south of town, and so it was still operational from World War II. Lawson's my community. We had significant infrastructure issues on some aged water lines. We had drain-let water lines through a big part of the town. We had a plan in place with DNR to add UV sanitation, which I know you guys talked about. We've done that recently. We had to do some work on our lagoons. So we were looking to get ready to make a big investment in our system as a community, and for us at the time, it made more sense to sell our system to American Water and spread that cost over the rest of the state by head count versus trying to put it on our 2,500 people. Eureka had water quality issues. They had issues with their wells and their treatment, and that problem was solved by building a pipeline from one of our other systems down to them to give them clean, safe water. Ironton's another one that had water quality issues. You know, it's kind of funny, the town's named Ironton. Well, guess what? They had iron in their water. They had hard water. So we had to really upgrade their water treatment system there, and we've been able to get them back on track and give them safe drinking water there. Arnold up by St. Louis was a sewer-only acquisition. They were getting ready to make some major investments in their sewer system and decided that it was better for them to get out of the sewer business and partner with us on their sewer system. Curtis, can you speak to this slide for me, because you've been explaining the partnership from Safe Water and some of the things we do better than I can.
Hi guys, Curtis Sweet, manager in Jeff City. Been doing water for about 20 years now. Worked in a municipality right out of high school. 10 years ago moved to American Water and been here ever since. Myself and Aaron started as frontline employees in the ditch every day. The company provides a lot of opportunity to move up. been a really good place to be. One of the things we do really good on is going above and beyond compliance set by EPA or DNR. The Safe Drinking Water says we achieve water below recommended levels. So like on our surface waters, you can have a 0.3 turbidity go out of your filters. We strive for a 0.1. We balance cost with that because it does take chemical, but we want to produce the safest drinking water possible for the communities, and that's just what the partnership is. Jeff City, we're a surface water plant, we pull out of the Missouri River. We're on year 22 or 23 of being in that partnership, so something that my team takes a lot of pride in, to know that we're producing the best water that we can produce. The beauty with us is, if I have a problem or treatment goes bad and I don't know, I have 700 other folks in Missouri that are well versed in this stuff, and they're a helping hand. We get a bad rap sometimes, but we're really here to help. That's our goal. Every one of us, they're just like you guys. They're boots on the ground. They're out fixing the problems. They're providing the customer service. What we want to do is ensure that our customers have water when they need it and it's safe to drink. Our wastewater side, we want to ensure that when they flush the toilet, it goes down the drain. We just have a lot of resources that we can put into a community to make it better than what the local municipalities can afford to do.
One comment I might just bring up when we talk about these 500 tests statewide. We have the premier lab in the country. It's located in Illinois. It takes in all of our tests to make sure that, we of course comply with the testing that has to be done at the regulator level, but in order to ensure that our water quality and that we're heading off any issues. So when Curtis mentioned, here's what the standard is, we may be looking for the standard down here. I know I've been in conversations in the past where everybody's like, here's what the level is. I was like, oh, well, we don't need to worry about that. That's the level below where it's supposed to be. We're checking that beforehand. Also important to note, just on the employee side, our COO, her name is Cheryl, and Cheryl is from a community up in Northwest Missouri. She started out as a lab technician, and so that's what we need in terms of the mobility or the career advancement opportunities, or just the pay and benefits of a regulated utility. We have a gentleman that lives down in the middle of the Ironton, Missouri, used to live in the St. Louis area. We bought that system. That was home for him and his wife. It created a situation for him to go back to. Maybe the next town we buy, Neosho is closing, maybe that creates an opportunity for someone in Neosho to move to another place and maintain their water career. So we're really proud of that fact.
Once again, talking about our infrastructure investment, we've already touched on, our deep bench of how we are able to get things fixed because we have a lot of knowledge in our company. The piece I'll touch on here, and this blew my mind when I really got thinking about it back when we were making our change over to American Water, was, the city might buy 1 or 2 fire hydrants a year, on a good year. And they're gonna pay $2,300 $2,500 piece per fire hydrant. American Water buys 22,000 fire hydrants a year. And we pay $800 for them because we're buying at a big rate. We buy from one manufacturer, they're all the same. I was talking with the mayor and the administrator the other day, and I know Eldon has some of the same issues that I had to deal with fire hydrants that put it in the 50s and 60s that are still in service. That was one of the first things that American Water came in and started doing, was replacing fire hydrants in our community. We always make an effort on fire safety. That's a huge issue for our companies, to make sure we have fire pressure throughout the community. This was mentioned in a part earlier, talking about lead service line replacement. Our company has taken a stance that we aren't just replacing lead service lines back to the meter, but we're replacing lead service lines all the way to the house. Because what they're finding is that there can be contamination from lead within the line from the meter back to the house into the rest of the system. So as we replace our lead service lines across the company, we are replacing the whole service line. So far, since 2020, We replaced over 25,000 customer service lines, so all the way back to the house. We are pledged to have those all completed by 2030.
Yeah, I'll share something with that. So you guys kind of mentioned, affordability. I've had cases in Jeff City where people call, or we, with our meters, if they have high flow, it'll send an alert to us so we can alert the homeowners, say, hey, you may have a leak. We've had customers that have come in and said, hey, I think I have a leak. We go out there, yeah, you have a leak, and it's on their service line. Well, it's lead or galvanized, so we're proactively replacing that for them to save them substantial savings out of their pocket to replace those lead lines. We have to get them out of the system. They just so happen to have a leak. It's a win-win for the customer in that scenario.
Thank you, Kirby. So, community faces a lot of challenges. We all understand that. It's, financial stability is always an issue for communities trying to figure out how to pay for increased cost of operations and maintenance and construction. It never gets cheap, put it that way. Regulatory challenges, we've been talking about that tonight as well with DNR here. And then I know that Steve mentioned earlier about having personnel and operations issues. It's hard to keep staff. It's a constant struggle to be able to keep your staff full and be able to get everything done. And then, once again, talk about it tonight, aging infrastructure. That's not a problem just here, that's a problem nationwide. And we're all facing that. So what we can offer to do is offer some solutions to help with that. And what we would do when we come in to a community is we would do a needs assessment. We would evaluate the system and see what the needs and updates and replacement parts of the system would need to be done. Then we would come up with an operational plan of how we would achieve that, and a 5-year capital investment plan when we came into the community. So over the first 5 years after the purchase, we would work on that system needs assessment and make all the upgrades that were needed. So the pieces that everybody's going to want to know about is, well, what's it going to do for the community if we sell our system? Well, you get the net proceeds of the sale. The first thing you have to do, no matter what, when you sell your system, you have to pay off any debt you have on the system. So if you have $4 million in bonds, just taking round numbers here, if you have $4 million in outstanding bonds, and your system sells for $6 million, the city's going to net $2 million of profit off of that system, and that is
restricted.
Unrestricted, thank you, I couldn't think of the word. Unrestricted funds that the city can use for anything within the community. Whereas currently water and sewer funds are restricted to only doing water and sewer upgrades and projects. Well, if you take those proceeds, you can do whatever you want to do. We've had communities build splash pads, we've had communities build RV parks, they've made infrastructure upgrades on streets, done stormwater projects. It just depends on what the community wants to do with that. It also, like I said, retires your outstanding debt, and it frees up some existing capital that you're probably using out of the general fund to help offset costs in the water and sewer funds. Not all communities have to do that, but some do. Now, I know you don't have property tax here in town, but the assets that you sell become taxable property. So it increases the tax valuation for the school district and the county, and they would be able to get property tax, both real and personal property tax off of those assets. If the city had a tax, they would as well. The other piece that you can do on that is you get a franchise fee currently from your gas and electric utility. A lot of places charge a franchise fee for water because it is a private utility just like the others, so there would be a franchise fee as well. The biggest part is you would have somebody working with the system, working with the community that has the expertise and has the wherewithal to make those changes in a timely manner and get things up to more of a modern standard. So.
A couple notes just on personnel and operations. One of the things that we've identified as a larger company with our national footprint is just how hard it is to encourage and bring in young adults into friendships, into programs to be in a water and wastewater utility. It's a very good, stable job with lots of opportunities, and so we are starting to put together programs for our own training centers, so that we can encourage and bring people into that type of career, as well as partnering with trade schools, tech schools, that way that we, just so that we can get the word out about that. So we're trying to really create the next generation of water and wastewater utility professionals, because, you know, as Matt mentioned, we do see this a lot with cities. Chris was just telling me today about a community he was talking with that kept trying to get him to apply for their open role. But we struggle with that too, just because there is a large demand and a low supply of those professionals. So we're really trying to, what we're doing at Missouri American Water, we're really trying to hedge against two things. Is A, the labor force constraints of good quality workers. And Matt mentioned earlier, I think it just kind of came out of your mouth some, it's always something that we go to the city and say, who needs their job secured in your water and sewer? So this isn't like, we'll take Terry and you keep Rodney, and we don't, that's not how that works. We go through and we figure out, where do those employees need to have a secure position? Sometimes there's been times where an employee needed to stay, wanted to stay, the city negotiated for them to be on that side. So we're very flexible to say, what needs to work for your workforce? We need institutional knowledge when we start running the system. You have institutional knowledge. I mean, it's clear just out of DNR's mouth, and as Steve standing up here, there's been a lot of back and forth. You clearly have people that care about the community here and are trying to figure out how to overcome these significant issues that you have. That to me is just automatic value for our company if we were to ever partner at some point with the city.
Once again, the direct benefits, we talked about just a minute ago about the possible franchise fee, property taxes for the schools. I always like this number. So we are able to invest approximately 2 times per person what the average municipal system is able to do. That is something that's very difficult for communities to do. So it's something that we're able to do as we upgrade and update systems. We are very much a leader in the industry in developing and implementation systems to remove PFAS around the country. That's a big issue. There are some communities in Missouri that have that issue. There's communities within 50 miles of here that have it. So it's something that we have to look at as we move forward. And then once again, about surface line replacement. I asked the mayor and the administrator this question the other day. If a new developer comes to your town and wants to build a 50-house subdivision you have going in right now, what incentives is the city able to offer that developer right now? Are they able to offer anything at this point for infrastructure? Okay, so I kind of already know the answer. Most communities can't. When I was administrator in Lawson, I had an opportunity to get a 144-house subdivision to come to our community. Our last 10 subdivisions didn't have 144 houses, so it was a big opportunity. Everybody I talked to in our area around, oh, you're gonna lose development because you sold your water system. Missouri American Water has a program in our latest tariff that gives a 25% rebate back to the builder for all water infrastructure put in the ground. So every dollar he invests in the water system he puts in the ground in the new development, he gets a quarter back. So that was a huge piece of the puzzle when I was working with the developer on that subdivision, because I couldn't get that anywhere else. So something that we're able to offer. We also have some economic development incentives that we're able to offer for large water users, special rates and things like that. And we also like to say we try to be a big part of the community. Well, we have our charitable foundation that gives grants. We have a lot of our employees do a lot of volunteer and community engagement in communities. my thunder about the training piece, that's okay. But we are developing schools in St. Louis, St. Joe, and Joplin right now that will train our own operators for the future. As you said, there is a shortage. That part of the workforce is aging out, that's been in those roles for years. So it's going to continue to be a struggle.
Can I ask a quick question? When you talk about charitable grants, what kind of things do those funds go to?
Well, let's go to the next slide.
Oh, there you go.
So in 2025, our company invested $1.5 million in the state and the communities we operate in. We are well known for our public safety and fire grants. I don't know of a fire department in any community that we serve that if they applied for it didn't get a grant. They got new breathing apparatus at the fire department there in my town a couple years ago with that grant. American Water Charitable Foundation also has some grants that are available. I'll use myself as an example again. I was able to get a $150,000 grant from the American Water Charitable Foundation to put a splash pad in our park. We took $100,000 of the money from the water system sale and $150,000 from American Water. So the company paid for it all basically. It was a nice addition to our community. There's other projects around the state. They like to have those projects do something with water safety, water quality, kind of educate the community. We have hydration station grants, which I'm sure everybody's seen those. They're the bottle filling stations that you see around in different public buildings. I've seen schools get them, I've seen city halls get them, I've seen them put in parks. So we give grants for those. Like I said, our employees, we promote volunteers within our employees. So 850 plus hours here in the state of volunteering in the community. And then I know there was a concern earlier about rates and costs for people with issues with their income or ability to pay bills like that. We have a program called HGO with our Help to Others program, and it's an assistance program to help some of those folks that struggle with that.
Brass tacks. What's going to be the average water and sewer bill for a citizen of Eldred if we go with you?
We don't know enough about your system to really have a lot of those tangible answers right now. We can tell you what our current rates are. We're very transparent about that.
Okay.
And in reviewing kind of where your rates are at right now, there's a gap. And that's a concern. And so what we always tell people at this juncture, we're just trying to learn more from you and see if we can provide you with information of what this might look like. We're way far off, of course, from a decision.
Mr. Mayor, am I right that if the board chooses to go with them, would it not have to go to the citizens?
Yeah, he's gonna get there.
Yeah.
Yep. My very next slide will address that.
So to answer your question, if you go off of public rates that are posted about St. Louis, it'd be about $70-some a month for water, about $70-some a month for sewer.
And where are they at today?
About
No,
$70
it would be the same
both
for each of non.
for each.
Yeah. Our meter does have 1,000 gallons, right?
But American Water's also trying to raise
Hold on. Sorry, I just wanna make sure.
Can we go ahead and finish the presentation, and then we can go ahead and open the floor for questions at that point, if that's okay?
So moving forward, if we're able to move forward from here. So we had some initial discussions, that's the first point. And we're sitting here meeting with council tonight for a little bit more of that. Our next step would be doing our due diligence, which is what Aaron was talking about, collecting some more information from the city so we would know a little bit more about the finances of the water sewer system, the finances of the city, what some of the long-term things are as far as what your capital improvements plan looks like, and what your investments are gonna look like for the future, the way things currently sit. If the council agreed to go forward, we would, from that point, we would do an appraisal. The state process mandated by the state is to have 3 appraisers come in and appraise the system. The city would have an appraiser, the company would have an appraiser, and the Public Service Commission, who sets our rates. So the city sets your rates now. The Public Service Commission is who sets your rates on your gas and your electric. That's based on what the utilities invest into the system and the returns they need to have to pay off those debts. So that's kind of the same way we are, almost exactly, because we're a public utility. So they get to have an appraiser as well. Then it would go to a governing body vote if you accepted what the appraisal said. Then it would be time to educate the community about what's possible with change and go to a public vote, left or second. At that point, we would be entering into an asset purchase agreement, and that agreement would then go to the Public Service Commission for regulatory approval. They approve everything that we do, whether it be the cost of putting in a meter to the cost of purchasing a system. And then at that point, if with their approval and their final say, it would be the transfer of the assets.
There's a few gates along here, but to give you an idea, the city of Neosho entered into an asset purchase agreement with us last September, and we will be closing on that system on September 2nd. So it usually takes somewhere around that 10-month time frame. Sometimes our smaller systems can go faster, but they look at everything to see, you know, how is this pipe being compensated for in terms of a purchase. They basically regulate what we can and can't pay for, what you can and can't sell it for. That's just the process that the state has set up for that. In terms of one of the things we try to convey at this stage, especially when we're talking to elected bodies, is you have big decisions and you have big questions on your mind, lots of concerns about chlorination, and how to work with DNR to resolve some of your issues. You know, we were invited here tonight just to give you another option to consider, knowing that ultimately the citizens decide this. So this would be whether or not the council wants to look into what we think the system needs done to it, how that would look for everything, for employees, for the city from a net proceeds standpoint, from a rate standpoint, and present that to you, and then you ultimately make the decision. Do we want our voters to look at this or not? Or do we, you know, is it not for us? We're not for everybody. We do really great work. I love working for this company. We just want to give you more information. Information's power. There's also some really good takeaways. Some of the communities we've worked with, so we had a referendum in a community last year that it didn't pass. But there was a lot of good information that came out of that process that we investigated and looked at, that the city has been able to use to help with some of the decision making, because they were in a situation where they did need to raise rates. They weren't covering our cost of service for the infrastructure improvements that needed to happen. So,
would somebody come along and buy you, a conglomerate, or somebody come along and buy you out? And would we have any option after the water is sold? Do the citizens lose all option for the water?
So I think there was a question of water rights earlier, and DNR said, so we can't buy your water rights. We would be buying the infrastructure that's used to move the water through the system, right? We would operate the wells that bring the water to the system. So that, I mean, is that what you're asking? Is it like you wouldn't necessarily have that water anymore?
She's asking, when you sell something to a private entity, the public entity no longer has the control over it, is what she's asking. And with you having control of it as a private entity, could you sell it to the next private entity that may not be as good as American Water has been? And then what happens at that point? What is our recourse? I have to ask this question, so I know the answer, but I'm asking you guys.
Sure, yeah. So because we're regulated by the Public Service Commission, and this is a good example, is if we were to buy another regulated utility, there's other ones in the state of Missouri, the Public Service Commission still gets to decide. And one of the very important discussions at that point, there's basically the party that's trying to say we want to purchase this, so that might be, like, for example, Neosho and Missouri American Water. Then there's also the commission, the Public Service Commission, that looks into everything. There's also a third party called kind of an intervener. It's the Office of Public Counsel. It's a Missouri department that operates under the executive branch, that basically is there to look at the impact to ratepayers So they intervene and participate in any of our rate cases, on any of our purchases, and they operate on the ratepayers' behalf. Cities can also intervene in any of those cases as well. So to your question, if someone, Acme Water came along and said, Missouri American, we want to buy you, I can't tell you that wouldn't happen, but the Public Service Commission would have to.
So, if you own us, then we can't go with another company. We have to stay with you. Because
Yeah, like your electric and gas.
Just like your electric and gas.
Yeah.
So where's you guys going?
That's leased. Ameren is leased.
Well, they own the infrastructure there as well.
Yeah, we don't.
They own all the
we don't have
pipes,
any
they own
control.
everything.
What are they about?
Did you have any other questions?
So many.
Hey, that's
So
great.
little
That's what we
time,
want.
so many questions.
That's okay.
No, I'm fine, thank you.
I will give you all my cards for I leave tonight. If you have questions you think about or you wanna ponder before you ask them, I'm available.
I have one just so I can figure out how it got here. So, who was involved in the initial discussion contacting you? Like, who initiated contact with who? And then, I'm assuming you met before this, so, like, was it just a small group to say, are we even a candidate? Like, do you vet people to come, do you vet places with, to see if they're a
Well,
fit or not?
I reached out to Trevor through a mutual contact here in the area, so I reached out to him, I knew you guys have been having some concern, and so I thought, you know what, it's probably worth it, say, hey, we're on, and just educate and answer questions, because that's the best way to
you
get
know,
knowledge.
Sarah, the way it works was, I got a text from somebody, I can tell you later who it is.
That's fine.
You'll know who it is. Texted me and said, hey, this guy's gonna be getting hold of you from American Water, would you listen? And I said, absolutely, I was like, listen to anybody, not just you, Matt, listen to anybody, and just be serious there. So I'm like, okay, well, yeah, sure. So he said, do you mind for giving your cell phone number? I'm like, "Oh, so Matt called me. I called Steve afterwards and said, hey, he's gonna come down, he's gonna meet with us, I'm gonna be honest with you, let you know, you can let your guys know if you wanna know after that. After we met, I called Steve and said, hey, Steve, I want you to let you guys know afterwards, because he said, your other department said, hey, I wanna let you guys know this is happening, so if you get questions.
But you all met with them initially?
Yeah, Mandy and I know one time,
Last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday. That's right. Yep.
My biggest thing is we talk about all this, we talk about how it's gonna save money for the city, right? It's gonna increase our infrastructure and everything like that. I just understand that it passes the buck to the citizens to cover the costs. Like, I get you guys can do the infrastructure and do all this stuff, but ultimately the citizens are the ones paying for all this infrastructure upgrade anyways.
Either way, the option, our option gives you the ability to spread that cost over 1.4 million customers versus spreading that cost over your 2,500 customers here in town.
But when you buy another company, another city's water, wouldn't that not also raise Ellen's water as well?
Yep, it does.
So everybody's rates just keep going up every time you buy the city's system?
So if you look historically at water rates, we talk about cost of service, and this is where the Public Service Commission benefit comes in, is they are not going to just let us, I don't know if you've looked lately what the cost of an Apple iPhone is, but I have no idea what the profit margin on that is. We're not allowed to do that. So the Public Service Commission regulates, what we can and can't do. So if there is a meter check, if we have to go out, someone mentioned like a high water bill, we go out, it's an operation and maintenance, we don't make any money off that. If that costs us $20 to do, we can only recover $20 within the system from the customers. So so we run a very tight, efficient ship. What we're trying to get to,
Right,
and this
you can get it from the customer how?
well, I mean,
You charge
let me put it this
people
way.
to come out
Let's say
and check
all-
on the water?
No, I'm sorry, I was using an example, so let's say it this way. Let's say all of our operations and maintenance costs were $100 across the entire state of Missouri. Then we can only go back to our ratepayers and get that $100. We don't get to say, it took us $100 to do the operation and maintenance, we're gonna charge $700. So we don't make any money off operation and maintenance, it's a pass-through.
But you are a for-profit
Sure,
business.
yeah.
And at 20% profit increase with your CEO making over $1 million a year.
So I'm happy to provide more of that information. And it kind of explains the profit margin to you. I mean, honestly, wouldn't it be great if it was 20%? We could pay our employees more. But I can assure you it's not 20%.
Paid well.
If you're around afterwards, let's visit, because I can kind of tell you where you can find some of that information online, because the public.
I've already looked.
I also know that we were talking about clean water. I know we don't want chlorine on the water. We're also involved in a class action lawsuit in Illinois, American Water. We're having forever chemicals, which is, right, which you guys said you're trying to remove, but you're already in a lawsuit about it. And those chemicals, the body cannot break down.
And that's why we're trying to get rid of them, for sure.
Right.
So, what I can tell you is Illinois is, like, I only work for Missouri American Water, not Illinois, but I can find some information out.
Right, you
about
just
that.
showed the whole map though, the entire United States, so it's all one big business, right?
Sure, and I can get you the information from some of the people that work for that big business.
Right.
But I personally don't work in Illinois, so I'm not as familiar with how lawsuits, so. But that's definitely information that I can share.
Are you guys, I'm just trying to understand, so you're investor driven?
Yes, we're investor driven, so if you think of it this way, who here has a retirement account? Okay, so there's a good chance that your retirement account has money in it that is invested by one of our owners, one of the stockholders that owns American Water. And so what happens is, one of the differences between like our stock and what you see, and I'm not a Wall Street expert, that's a question for someone else, is our stock is more of a long-term stock because it's not this huge profit margin. We're regulated, and if we do a project and we overdo the project, like we spend too much money on a project at the plant in Jeff City, we may not get that money back. The Public Service Commission isn't just going to give us that money because we managed the engineering portion of it incorrectly. So they look at all of our books. They look at our CEO's wages, they look at our profit margins, they look at what we spend on chemicals, and they come back and say, what is a reasonable return in the industry? So if you are looking at your own retirement accounts, your CDs, your savings accounts, the way in which pretty much any other company operates, how you borrow money, you're gonna see that there's a percentage back. There's a percentage you get back to the bond. If you issue a bond, what those investors get back. So it's really no different. It's the people that invest in us being able to cover how we replace water mains, how we upgrade plants. If I were to give you, if I were to take $10 from you, what would be the reasonable amount that you would want back from that $10 over the course of 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 years? You would want something back, right? And so that's no different than any other business that borrows funds to take care of it. It's just that when we borrow half of our debt, the person that gets paid back is the stockholder versus a bondholder in the city, so.
So a couple things I think you really need to address. Rates. Our rates are based on the first 1,000 gallons, and then after that, it's every 1,000 gallons after that. You guys base yours on 4,000 gallons, if I'm remembering right?
No, I was using that as an example to compare apples to apples.
Okay. Can you tell people kind of where your rates go? Because I know I've looked it up, but
So we have a minimum charge on our water system. Sorry, I'm trying to read it here. Our minimum usage is $11, whereas you guys are
I think it's the
charging.
availability charge, right? So that includes the first 1,000?
No,
Yeah, that's availability.
that's just our minimum charge, is $11. And then we charge $11.20 per 1,000 gallons above that.
Do you have a minimum meter-based charge if it's sitting empty, not running?
$11.
$11.
Yep. So it's $11.20 per 1,000 gallons. What size line is that?
That's for a 5/8 or half inch. Or 5/8 or 3/4, I'm sorry.
Okay, we're
$22.20. What else you got? We know there's more.
For the
You already
first
told
dollar.
us there's a gap, so.
Well, the gap is more on the sewer side than it is the water side. So you guys are at 24.72 for the first 1,000 gallons. For the first 1,000 gallons with the minimum usage charge, we're at 22.20.
Is that if you don't buy our sewer system and just our water?
That's just the water.
Yes.
Now, our sewer is based on a flat rate. And it doesn't matter if you use 1,000 gallons of water or 10,000 gallons of water, it's $74.11.
How much?
$74.11.
That's one of the things we're asking for the Public Service Commission to consider, is we'd like to move it to volumetric.
Yes.
Because we understand there's households that, if there's one person in the household, they're not using very much sewer.
Yeah.
So part of that is driven by the fact that we have a lot more water customers in the state. Missouri American Water, or American Water in general, has been in water for 150 years. We've been in wastewater a lot less than that, right? So, that's kind of, we don't have as many wastewater customers in the state as present.
It's not a requirement, just like we talked about the other day, it's not a requirement to do both water and sewer. We can
No.
just do water.
Just sewer.
And
Yeah.
let's just say, we were gonna entertain this idea, does the assessment cost money or is it totally free? So in theory,
Won't cost us a dime.
we said, sure, do an assessment, and we decided, no way, we could use every bit of the knowledge for an assessment, do that.
Yeah, and that's one thing we try to convey is, it's like, this could all fall apart when you want it to fall apart. And you could still get good information, and we've had this happen before. Like you said, there is a rate gap. Maybe we're not the answer today, but we wanna create conversations because we might be down the road. It may be a different situation for our company, it may be a different situation for Eldon. We like to think of ourselves as good neighbors. We don't wanna be in a community where we're not wanted. So just because we're this great big 7,000 person firm, we don't wanna come in and try to constantly run Eldon. We wanna be good partners, and we wanna make sure that that's a fit for you, and it's a fit for us too.
So talk to me about water rates some more. Okay. So every 1,000 after the first is 11.20, no matter how many thousands of gallons each household uses. Okay, what about commercial?
So commercial is based on the meter size, and down for initial fee, and I don't remember what the actual
Yeah, that's
commercial fees are. But we have a different base rate for 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch meters. And then the actual water usage rate, I believe, is exactly the same as, I said, 11.20 up to a certain amount of gallons. And then it would enter into our economic, development type packages where we have commercial rates.
So we're looking at if there's a single person in a household and they're only using 1,000 gallons of water, then it would be $22.
You based it on $4,000, that's where the $55.
That's where it
Yeah,
came
that's
from,
what
whatever we were talking
that's-
about.
That's kind of our average user in a lot of our communities is 4,000 gallons. A household of 4 or 5 people, that's.
That makes sense.
that makes
We
more
were-
sense. Sorry,
we
we
like,
were-
wait, we were thinking 55, now you're, okay. So your minimum is just the first 1,000.
Something you've not touched on is treatment of the water. You heard the beginning of our meeting, you know, we're really against the chlorine. We don't put fluoride in. What would be the plan? What are your all's requirements for that?
So, I can't, in my experience, if we buy a system, we chlorinate. I think with what you guys have experienced, you're on chlorine. I don't think you come up with a scenario that you're not. I will put a plug in for DNR. They're a great regulatory agency. They're willing to work with communities from some of our other regulatory states. We are very fortunate to have them. They can have more strict laws than what the feds put out, but not less, and they rarely don't go more strict. So everything they're doing is probably driven from a federal regulation, but I have not seen a system that we've taken over that we don't chlorinate. I think our company standpoint is, we know that if we kill or inactivate any system, in the event that something were to happen, we have the residual in there to get rid of the contaminant to ensure public safety.
But if the source isn't coming from our well and it's our lines, if you come in and replace our lines and fix our infrastructure, then our water should be fine and you shouldn't have to chlorinate with something that's potential cancer causing.
Sure, but what happens when the next boring company comes through and bores through your main? I mean, that's kind of why
Well,
they.
if you came and replaced it, then it wouldn't necessarily be an issue.
Well, we have boring companies in Jeff City right now, and they bore through our utilities every day. That's just the fact of the matter, is someone's gonna hit your pipeline. Even though we're really proactive about replacing main, we have main breaks. I mean, there are things that are gonna happen in your system, whether it's us or whether it's you, that could potentially have those harmful pathogens enter into the water.
But I think we would rather go on a temporary boil order for a couple days and treat the system than be on a permanent chlorine solution and smell like Kansas City and St. Louis water, where you can smell the chemicals.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on in your system or what exactly you have. I don't personally drink out of systems where I smell chlorine or taste chlorine.
But your skin is your largest organ, so regardless of whether you're ingesting it or not, your body is still consuming it because your skin is your largest organ.
Is that something that can be negotiated in this?
So I would say the first thing that we have to do as a regulated utility, which I'm gonna let Lance jump in here, is there's a law and we're required to follow the law. If the law is determined that this system has the chlorine and the next system doesn't, that's where we start. So we don't feel like we know enough about your system to make a judgment call on what Lance is here telling you today or what Steve has been doing.
Of course.
Yeah, so those are definitely conversations that would need to happen here.
But you
Because
don't
this is a
have
big
anyone
deal.
on your system that is not chlorinated.
In Jefferson City currently, no.
Is there fluoride there as well?
There is, but it's a city ordinance and we're required to feed it.
And that's,
So that's up to you.
and that's up to the community. We have communities to do, we have communities to don't.
I think at the end of the day, just to make sure, DNR is still the ultimate authority even over American Water. So it's not like they get to say, well, we're gonna supersede what DNR says because, you know, this is the company that we have. DNR still gets to make the decision on what the city does regardless of what company we're using, whether it's, public city water or if it's a privatized company.
Well, technically, it's EPA, though, not even DNR.
So you guys aren't obviously free of boil orders either, I've seen it on the internet.
Correct.
So how do you guys let customers or our community know that, hey, you're on a boil order? Our city learned a good way to get it out quickly. What's your guys' system gonna be? You're in Jeff City.
We have what we call a code red. Basically, any customers affected, we go in and drop a polygon on that area. So if it's 4 city blocks, we drop a polygon and then it automatically sends a call out to your preferred communication, whether it's phone call, email. And so as soon as we get a call, hey, possible main break, once we get out there and we see the extent of it, the first thing the team's doing is putting that code red out, calling locates and shutting the thing down.
So can I add some terminology on there? Boil order and boil advisory are very different things. The department mandates and regulates and tracks boil orders, usually with E. coli contamination. What Curtis is mentioning here would probably what we classify as boil advisory, and the system itself does that, which is much different than a mandated boil order, where we actually issue orders, public notices, violations on the main break. We may not do that, but the system may still call a boil order and they have their own requirements. So that's different than the E. coli boil order that's been happening.
So who's your 2 biggest competitors in the state that does the same thing?
It's probably Liberty and
That's about it, yeah.
And Mayor, I assume we're also gonna look at other companies to do this in?
I hope there's more that come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, this kind of just going to our lap.
And then the other thing is, do you use any subcontractors to do your work, or is it all done through your employees?
Subcontractors, and we prefer, we have, in Jeff City, I have 3 pretty dependable subcontractors. If we were to come in here and there's someone that wants to get set up as a vendor, we would love to have them. We kind of talked about the challenges. We want subcontractors to help us put in infrastructure.
And this is major projects though, this is not everyday repairs.
Both. We use them for just a simple service leak sometimes. We have regulatory work and we have certain requirements we have to meet, and a lot of times that's where my employees are spending their time. The meter checks, the customer complaints, valves, flushing the system. those are things that we're doing, and so sometimes we don't have the staffing to go do something else. On all of our big main projects, Jeff City again, we're definitely using a contractor. St. Louis, I mean, with a little more staffing, they're using some of their own, but,
Across the state, we're using a lot of subs, and a lot of local subs. That's our goal, get a local subs.
Something the council probably needs to know, can you talk about billing for just a second? Do you do your own billing?
Yes, we do. We do our own billing. We have the ability to pay online, we have the ability to mail it in. You can pay online with credit card or with a check, do an automatic withdrawal. There's lots of ways to do it, but it's all through mail or online.
We also have a MyWater web interface that people can register for. Again, you have Ameren here, correct? So Ameren has something like that. Where you create an account online. You can go and you can look at your usage. You can set up tools to alert you if you have a high day or a high period of time. You can look at your bill. You can interface with us. That's a tool that's available to all of our customers as well.
You
have an app.
You have your own app. or-
Say that again.
We don't have an app.
Is it an app or is it just a?
It's just a website.
Yeah, but I don't.
I can show it to you. I'm a customer twice. I'm a customer for my home, and I'm a customer at another property in South Missouri. So I'm well versed in how to do it online. It's real simple. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
You said you repair the water lines all the way up to the house. How far outside the home do you stay?
So with the lead service, we're normally so if it's a slab, we're kind of digging right up to the foundation. If there's a crawl space or a basement, we're normally going right inside to a good piece of pipe.
And that's just on the lead and copper?
Lead and galvanized.
Lead and galvanized.
Yeah.
But general, just anybody has water leak, you do not do that.
Right.
I know you said for the first 1,000 gallons is about $22, right?
$22
What I'm saying is that you guys are about to have a price hike for about $15 extra.
So we just opened a general rate case with PSC, and basically what that is that's for us to go through and say, okay, here's the cost to run the system, and it's gone up. I mean, your grocery bill's gone up, your electric bill's gone up. Unfortunately, things are going up for us too. And so that's a method for us to go to PSC and say, open up the books again. Here's what you did and didn't do. Curtis, you spent too much money on that engineering project. You're not taking that all back from the customer. You can only take this much back. So I tell you, there's always a request that we have in there, and then we have to work through it with PSC about what, if any, increase would be.
So I'm just saying, you say $22 right now, but you're possibly going up.
Oh, yeah.
You're probably
And we want to be really transparent about that.
Okay.
And the piece I'll add to that is, normally in the past, we have gone to the PSC with expenses we've spent in the past couple of years to recoup them. Last year, the State House here in Missouri changed our law to where we're able to tell them, hey, this is what we're wanting to do in the future. And they can look at the project and say, hey, yep, do that one, don't do that one, do this one. And that's what the rates are gonna be based on going forward, is what the future expenses are. So this current increase, like you said, it seems like a big increase, but it's a rate case and a half, because it's got 2 years of the past and 1 year of the future in it, instead of just 2 years of the past. So this one's kind of an anomaly with how it's going through, and it's gonna be a learning experience for everybody.
One of the things that we do when we continue conversations with the community is it's a really good thing to have like an information night. And this is a great venue. We're happy to answer questions. We're probably a little short on our bench of people for some of the rate case questions or some of the customer service we got, 2 in community engagement, 2 in operations here tonight. But we prepare and we bring a team in because there are lots of questions about how the PSC process works, what we look at, how you as citizens or the city can interface with them, and then of course on our customer service side. So we're gonna bring the right people here so they can answer more questions, facilitate more discussion.
We're doing the best we can.
Like your splash pad, for example, now, did American Water charge the city eventually for the water they're using?
They do, they do.
Okay, like our pool would have to counteract all that cost.
Yes and no. I know that there've been special circumstances made in situations like that. And there's a way to do it. If we had no system, there's a way to do it where we don't charge sewer on that water for a pool bill for the community. There's special
our pool goes through a lot of water. That's what it says,
Yeah.
800,000 gallons last year.
Yeah. Every pool does, I had a pool in Lawson, and it's kind of like a boat. A boat's a hole in the ground, you throw water, you throw money in. A pool's a hole in the ground. You
Another
throw
question is on the employee side. Now, I know you said you tried to hire them on. Now, do they need to fly and interview for that position?
There,
So,
our HR department has a process for that, we're not really involved in it.
There's,
More-
you know, there's
Yeah.
50-50 shop there, you know.
Well, here's what I would say to you. I don't know what your employment hiring policies are, so that's something we could look at and compare and see how they're different. We do the background check, and we do a drug test. And so, yeah, so it may not be any different. So, you know, I'm not gonna say, yeah, everyone will qualify, because if we run into that issue, that's not something we put safely out in the field. But those issues aside, we just extend all the employment offers to them, and we go through and look and say, okay, we have superintendent, we have field workers, we have operators, what do we have, and how do we make sure that we run that system?
Would you stay in this area? No, not necessarily.
Yep, it is necessary.
That was my concern, as a long-term employee. I'm almost 50, been here 22 years. I live here, my daughter lives here, granddaughter lives here. I don't wanna have to go somewhere.
Yeah, you don't wanna send these things, no.
I plan on retiring from here.
Yeah.
Right. What would happen to his retirement from the city?
Those are definitely things, and I know we don't know, those are very individual things, but those we go through. I can tell you, I've not seen a situation where, we didn't make sure that there wasn't, a negative impact to transitioning that, because they are, you're going from a public retirement system to a private company retirement system, so those are individual details we try to work through.
I like to read online a lot, and I've looked into the whole keeping the employees and stuff, and I've read on there where like, yeah, they'll let you help them learn the system for 2 or 3 months, and then they'll bring somebody from outside in. That's part of their system already.
I was in the Lawson office today, and 2 of the employees that went with the system are still there. One's gone.
Well, I mean, that's just a concern for me being here. I've run the radio plant 22 years.
I don't blame you at all, but the guy I went to high school with, and we graduated year apart, he was there today. So, I mean, it's.
I'm 50, I've been with the company 25 years, and I've been through 3 acquisitions, and I have never been worried at all.
Yeah, I think you guys are the ones that know the system the best, and, we wanna keep you here and gain that knowledge. And then we wanna get new people in for you to teach before you leave, you know?
Succession planning is huge because nobody's coming into the industry.
Right.
I mean,
when I
In the interest of time, cause I know there's hundreds of
Oh,
questions,
for
I'm
sure.
sure we have them too, would it be feasible to say we've got a lot to think about right now? Maybe there's other options we would wanna explore additionally, but like, let's give us a sec, because there's a lot, and you guys aren't the people, so it sucks being in the hot seat when you don't know those things. And your questions everybody's questions are valid, but this will give us a minute to get our questions together, we'll be more prepared.
Is there anything out there from some of you all that are just citizens or developers out there that I'm curious? Yeah, there you go.
I'm a fire board member of rural district with a station in the city limits. Would we be allowed to go well, or what would our water rates be? We go through 1,000 gallons in a day at that hydrant.
I was gonna ask the same question, because not only do you have the Eldon Fire Department, but we've got Rocky Mount, we've got Scumby, we've got Morrow that all pull off of our hydrants.
What do we do with them now?
And we're talking about, you know, could potentially be millions of gallons of water per incident.
We would have to gather more information.
So the way that it's supposed to work is they're supposed to turn in the amount of gallons that they get to City Hall or their water bill.
Several well drilling.
I don't know if that happens.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what happens there.
Are you guys talking like to fight a fire?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so historically, I don't think that we've charged for that. I mean, I know in Jeff City, if they fight a fire, I don't go and say, hey, you guys use 6,000 gallons bill this month.
The way the thing is, other agencies come in to get water,
Uh,
rural agencies.
So
And it's not just us.
No, I understand.
So we
They don't
have,
access to it. Yeah.
So there again, you know, it's a lot of things, but in Jeff City, we have a bulk water station that's rather cheap, and then we also do hydrant permits, And, I don't know what they're, maybe, I don't know the price right offhand, but when they get hydrant permits and it's, you pay for the hydrant, you use as much water as you need. Now, you can't do things like, go fill a swimming pool with it. There are some things that you can't do, but like with all the boring we have bulk water, our boring rigs coming through all day in our bulk water. They can fill up their tanks for a couple bucks.
But you don't charge fire service entities for fire use.
Not for
Correct.
fire use, no.
So I think Alderman Walker was wanting to
Yeah.
take it back over, so we should probably stop.
Hang on, we've got people here, I want to
No,
go
I mean, if
through.
the citizens have
Yeah, I
questions,
wanna go
just
through some of
like-
this, I mean, we've got some developers in here that are putting some major investments into town, and I'm looking at a couple of you. I wanna know your opinion, what are your questions? You gotta have questions. Corey, ask what you did last time at our meeting, what's the
So-
tap fee?
The 25% kickback sounds really good, because I'm getting ready to stick about 400 grand in one development, so that'd be 100 grand in my pocket. And I like, that sounds awesome. And then you talking to city people and telling them they keep their retirement, and that all sounds great too. No, that all sounds good. But you guys are a for-profit company, right? Like I looked it up a little bit. It's hard to find information on it. It's all false. It seems like a lot of it. You guys service about 1,900 cities
Nationwide, yeah.
nationwide.
Yep.
And you guys made $1.1 billion last year. That's almost $600,000 a city if it was average. I know it's not. So like for me as a developer, I'm willing to walk away from that 100 grand and lose that money because that'd be directly in my pocket to keep the water with the city. No offense to you guys, hey, you did an awesome job. You sold that really well. You kind of remember that lady that was like for Trump last time a little bit, and a couple things you said, how you was firing back so quick. I loved it. I think you did a really good job. But like, I'm willing to give up the 100 grand to keep us in the city and not do anything with y'all ever again.
And why do you feel that?
Because you're a for-profit company, and in your stuff it talks about you're publicly traded, right? And you're selling it on, you're gonna make 8 to 10% profit for these investors. I'm an investor, that's what I do, right? That sounds great. You can't serve two masters. It says it in the Bible. You cannot do that. So you cannot serve us as a city for a good deal, a cheap rate, keeping us right, and serve your investors. I'm paying you guys all this money, your investors, that's what you're advertising. You can't do both.
Hey Corey, let me ask you a question. So the reason you're doing so many houses at one time is for economies of scale.
I like where you're going with that, to save money. And you're saying they're investing in all this stuff across all these boards so they can save money. But once we fire that bullet, we ain't getting it back. They own it, and they could sell out to the next company like you brought up that doesn't give two craps about us. And so what you guys have, I'm not knocking here, you have a business that you're guaranteed to customers. You're starting a business, you have a business in motion that has its guaranteed customers. You're not searching for work.
So I like to play devil's advocate a little bit. So there is a mechanism to get it back. The mechanism is that we condemn it and say it no longer works. I ask them that, how often does that happen?
I've only seen one.
Yeah.
Over the course of 150 years.
You know, if we got the money, what would we do with the money, right? The only thing we can spend money on, it seems like in the city is, well, everybody's online to say the roads, is our water and sewer, you know what I mean? So like.
So I want to play devil's advocate a little bit here because I've thought about this a lot, both sides, and I've talked to some people about it on both sides. I don't know what the right option is right now. I think the wrong option is not to do anything, and I don't mean sell it or rent it. We've got to do something with our water system, and I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means we go out and get bonds ourselves and do something. We have to do something. I don't think there's an option. This is an option that just kind of fell on our plate, and I'm like, hey Matt, let's talk.
Yeah, I just wanted to come give you the information.
That was perfect.
And
You guys did great presentation, for sure. It was good.
And that's where I want this to start a conversation. And that conversation, obviously, even if it goes down this path with them, is a year-long conversation. It's not a tomorrow conversation. That's why I wanted to hear your perspective, because
The 100 grand sounded good. I'm over here, I'm like, hey, I could get, what can I do with that? I can build half a duplex.
I
That
also
sounds
want
great.
naysayers. I'll also tell you I want naysayers too. I want everyone to, we need to vet this thing like crazy. I'm not just looking at you guys. We have to vet this, because this is not a real quick process. This is something that we have to live with for the next 50 years. If I live that long, I don't know if I will or not, but it's a long process that we have to live with.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I know I won't.
I disagree. You may be here longer than I am.
I think if the city's down the road that the council decides this isn't working, do you have the option to buy it back?
No, we condemn it. I mean, we could try to buy it back, but why would they sell it if it's working for them?
It's a profitable company, why would they sell it?
If it's not working for the city.
And for them, and it's not working for them,
Well,
yeah.
if it's working for them and they're happy, but say the city's not happy, can the city,
We'd
have
have
an
to-
option to purchase it back?
We'd have to condemn it and say there's something wrong with it.
It'd be like trying to return a car.
Yeah. I mean, we could offer them something and say, hey, look, now that you fixed everything, we wanna take it back over. And they may say, go fly a kite, or they may say,
No, I'm not saying,
it
I'm
would
not
be that
saying once
nice.
in 150 years, I've seen it once, in my knowledge, I've seen it once in California, that's it.
Trevor, we talked about this a couple
The
times.
municipality wanted to purchase it back.
They're going down Combination Road right now, but it's not easy at all.
I know we've talked about this a couple times, we don't know what this is even gonna cost for us to keep as a city.
Right.
And I think it's something we have to do from the city's diligence, is say, how about if we hire the people, we sell the people, we pay for the system through your grants and stuff like that, where we own it. I mean, I hate to say it, I hate to invest in somebody, you don't know their future present. I went through a company that did that, we sold out, and guess what, 6 months later, I bought by somebody else, and everything changed. And the same thing can happen here. They're a for-profit company, and I guarantee you, if somebody, big investor comes and says, hey, we wanna buy American Water, they're gonna say, how much? Oh yeah, let's go. So,
Sure.
I think we gotta know from our standpoint what it's gonna cost the businesses.
Agreed, and we've gotta do some sort of study, and maybe they do that study for us to start with, and we say, well, there's no way we can touch that, and I'm just saying that, you guys hold your ears, don't have to say that. But, I mean, that may be the next step, but seriously, it may be the next step, and then we can look at it and say, hey, is this the right option or not? I really want people to come out and say this is a horrible idea, because I wanna hear why. Why do they think it's a horrible idea?
I think it's gonna make it unaffordable for people that can't afford it.
And I think that's gonna be the biggest concern. I really do think that's gonna be
It
the biggest
depends a
concern.
lot on what you find out that you need to do and what that makes you raise.
Right, but you guys are giving out grants, you guys are giving all this money to these other things, which is great, but it doesn't help our citizens of our company, right? I mean, you know, they would rather have the money in their pocket than watch you guys do the things you're doing. You're making profit on the people that don't have the money to give away for profit.
So the other side of this, I think about this quite often. Ameren is through our city. If we could take over Ameren's system in our city, would we do it? No way in the world. Are you kidding me? They're regulated. Would we wanna run an Ameren system? Not me. I mean, maybe the next person that's a little more.
I would like to have bidders come in and bid.
No, I'm not saying that we do this, but I'm just saying this is something that's been on my mind a lot. Would I go back and want that system, the electric system? Well, we just had a huge storm that half the city was without power for a long time. We wouldn't have the money to fix that. Would we? I don't know. Maybe we would. Maybe we'd raise our rates and go fix it. I don't know. That's what we're talking about doing here with water.
But you got a different skill set for electrical than you have for water. I hate to say it. I mean, these guys are some of the hardest working guys I've seen.
I agree. It's not knocking them at all.
Yeah.
That's
But
why I
mean-
also called
but I mean,
Jonathan
You're dealing with
Steen right off
voltage
the
and
bat.
when you're doing power poles and voltage and hot lines, power poles coming down, that's gotta be somebody different, right? But these guys, I mean, I've seen them out at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning digging holes.
And our hope is it's those same guys doing that for us, you know? I mean, I really hate, so from just a small-time guy in the company, yeah, we're a big company, and we're for profit, but if you ask anybody on my team, we're helping the communities and we're doing the right things, you know? So, obviously, we're making money, but I don't think that people that work at the company feel that way. I mean, yes, we charge higher rates than a lot of people, but these people, my guys are doing the same thing these guys are doing, and they're dedicating their life to the community, and they're answering the phone calls in the middle of the night, and they're doing everything to keep the water running, no different than what a community.
But here's the thing I look at, and again, I'm not saying you guys aren't the solution, but I'm just being devil advocate here. You're making profit when people don't have a choice, they have to use you. You're making profit on somebody that has to use you. Now, I own a construction company, they don't have to use me, so I can charge what I want to, and if they use me, that's their choice. They don't have a choice when it comes to you.
Agreed. That's why the Ameren thing holds up.
Yeah.
We have signed an agreement with Ameren that you have to use them in the city.
Well, it's the same with trash.
Yeah, trash is the same way. I agree. And I don't know if that's good or bad or indifferent, but that's the way I'm thinking about it right now. What would that look like? I don't know.
But I think, again, I don't disagree with anything anybody said here, but I think, like, there is a perfect storm right now. We have, that's with DNR, we have, and that's with our infrastructure, we have, and that's with our streets. Like, is there a place in the city that's not a mess? Please speak up, right? According to everybody, there's always something. There has been a ton given, asked, looked at, and like, I can only hold so much in the tank up here before it's gonna start going somewhere else. And so I think that, like, if we do have to investigate other options, there are probably other people who see this and are like, well, I'm gonna go talk to Eldon, and I'm gonna see if I can come to them with something. They should have that opportunity also. But there is so much, like, and then people are gonna be like, now that guy said this, because people are just hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. Like, if we really do need an informational night, no matter what way we go.
100%.
But that would give people more time to do research, more time to do that, is this fact or fiction, work on Facebook, is this really true or not? Like, all those things, right? And so, I think that we just, even as a board, like, wow, there's so much.
And we're not making any decision, by the way. I'm not gonna ask for a decision tonight at all anyway. But I want some of these people that have come because they've heard this. Yeah.
Yeah, so the only thing that I think that I have asking is, you know, right now I understand we're talking about cost, right? Like, this could be a more expensive option, but I think we don't know what rate increases would look like when the city takes a look and says, hey, we have this infrastructure problem, guess what? Your rates are already gonna go up. Now, I know this doesn't mean anything, but I have some friends that live in Wardsville. I said, yo, how much do you pay for your sewer and water? They said $135. I don't pay our bills. I texted my wife and I said, what do we pay? And she said, I know trash is included, $104, right? Same family size. So when you have a $30, $40 difference, we could eat that up or more because we have to pay for the infrastructure ourselves, the upgrades. I'm not saying that this is the right option. I'm just saying I think the city really has some due diligence that needs to be done to say, guess what, if we don't go with an option like this, because we have a lot of problems, right? If we don't go with an option like this, what is the 5-year plan to meet the same time frame that I'm assuming it would take for them to come in, replace everything? We're gonna have to be a parallel to have the same time frame to get this completed, and what is the resources that would take? Do we have those resources? Do we have the specialization to be able to actually get in and get this completed? Because, not ragging on anything, but we see that, hey, this is supposed to be done by this date. We're months past this project. I'm not gonna talk about what it is, but we know, and that's across the board, right? And so we could get in that same situation again where I don't say I would rather, but their rear ends would be on the hook for that, not us, because they're gonna get it done because they need to make some money for their shareholders, right? So I think that I just don't wanna throw the baby out with the bathwater and just assume this is the wrong idea or the right one. I think the city has a lot of legwork that needs to be done, and not just say, hey, we need to get these numbers, but actually get the numbers and put pen to paper and say, this is what we have to do to be able to get this corrected. Because until this is corrected, we're fluoridated, right? Like, it's not and we probably will forever be, right? I'm just saying, like, it's not a process that's just like, well, we can just a month here and a month there. Like, we're gonna have chlorinated water regardless if we go with them or if the city corrects the issue, unless some way, you know, we work something out through DNR. I know you said never. Not likely, but it's plausible, right? So I just don't want to like split hairs here. I think that there's due diligence on both sides, and that's where I come in. Yeah.
And that due diligence starts with us doing some sort of study somehow. I mean, that's the honest to God truth. That's how it has to start. Otherwise, we don't know.
I don't think there's anybody in the room that thinks that we don't need to do anything. I mean, we obviously have issues. We've had issues for a while, and we need to do something. And if this looks like going private, it looks like going private. If it means, you know, keeping it in-house, but probably having to increase the rates because we all know that things are increasing. And so I think regardless, we're probably going to be looking at a rate increase across the board anyway. So I think that's something that we're going to have to make that consideration, whether or not we want to keep it public or go private.
That's why you got me. In American Water standpoint, how many systems have you guys bought where you guys actually went through and just replaced them?
None that I know of. Because you don't want your rates to go up.
Yeah.
Because we come in and replace, I mean, you figure a mile of pipe replacement, just a mile, what do you have, 40? you're looking at somewhere between $1 to $2 million a mile, right? Depending upon what has to be dug up or messed with, how dense it is. It's different in the middle of St. Louis County than it is, you know, Joplin, Missouri, or Burnsville, Missouri. So, you know, those are expenses. If we come in and say, we're gonna replace 40 miles of pipe today, well, your rates will reflect that, and you wouldn't be very happy about it. So that goes back to that PSC piece that says, yes, do we profit up capitalizing because we're a profitable company? Yeah. But imagine what our profits would look like if we did that to you. They'd be better. So why don't we do them? Because we're regulated and someone controls that. To your $1.5 billion comment that I have to just correct you on, that's revenue. So that's right.
That's why I said I looked up online, and it could be false.
Revenue's
That's why.
yeah, revenue's different than profit.
So kind of like, so what I do in my job is I get a budget that I have to meet, right? So the O&M is just kind of the cost of doing business, and that is what it is. And then we have a capital budget. And then Matt kind of hit on the 5-year plan. So I'm sitting down with my team, and we're looking at how many main breaks occurred, where they occurred, what's the age of the infrastructure, and that's kind of how we're proactively going and trying to upgrade this infrastructure. But say we have a main that we get a break on, and next week we get a break on, third week we get a break on. Now that one's kind of taking priority, and we're looking at, okay, what can we shift to go ahead and fix the problem at hand, which is this main. And so we're kind of ever changing on how we're budgeting, but we're constantly looking at it. How can we make the most out of our dollar, and how can we maintain our infrastructure the best? And that's, I mean, it's for me, like, part of my job doing that, but then I'm in 2 or 3 meetings a year with the engineers, and they've got some models, and we're looking at, hey, what needs are here, what needs are there, and then we're kind of taking the block of money that we get and spreading it out to what is kind of the biggest red flags in our system.
I understand that because what we're getting at is on our mains, and I understand because we deal with it every day, trying to figure out how to upsize our mains. For a prime example, you brought up fire hydrants. I'm gonna come back on you on that. Okay, on your fire hydrant, are you gonna provide fire protection with a 4-inch line, like feeding that? No. Correct? Correct. So you're gonna upsize that line? Okay. That's something you're gonna have to deal with throughout the whole town. So your rate increase is what you're talking about, is gonna have to go way up, because you're gonna have to fix all the 4-inch lines, because I can wrap a wall in this town to get fire protection.
They're doing it in my community.
So, I mean, it's a cost, so either way, it's gonna be a cost or two.
I might just add, we're happy to answer questions, and what I like about
Thank you.
Farm
I appreciate it.
is that it's very important to have this exchange with the community. It is probably not what we're used to coming in for the first time to present for the council, just to be honest.
We don't do
So-
things normal by your
that's fine. It's your meeting,
Welcome to
that's fine, it's your meeting and we're guests. But I think we were, in absence of any information that the city has not, you guys haven't decided to share anything with us, that's why we're here tonight. We're at a little bit of a loss, like, like you think you're gonna go up a bunch, I don't know. Maybe that's the thing that we look at, and my leadership team says, well, we're not interested in buying homes. That's part of our due diligence.
Because I know how much.
And your input would be crucial to us all determining.
Because I know you're basing it on what you gotta make money. You're a business, you're not going in and losing money. So
You guys shouldn't be losing money on it either, that's clear, that's irrelevant to the.
I have a question. So how do we get the loan from DNR that they got for $289 million to fix the St. Louis system?
You apply for it.
How can City of Eldon apply for it?
There's money out there.
It's also bonded money, it's a loan.
That's okay.
It's not for.
We should have the same opportunities you guys have.
You do 100%. I know a lot of things you have to stay to the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, because it looks like you guys loaned them $289 million.
We didn't loan anybody, we borrowed.
No, DNR loaned you $289 million.
Yeah, the state revolving fund, yeah, and they do that, so, and, yeah.
That's just it. I know, it's a problem, city side and your.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it. Hey, one more, Chip, you got something?
Yeah, I'll say something. So, I mean, like a lot here, I'm not for turning something over that the city can handle themselves. I think you need to do exactly what you're supposed to be doing though, is research and getting information. So why not utilize them to help us out, figuring out what our next 5-year plan or whatever could be, get those loans ourselves and take care of it. So, even if you guys wanted to go with it, it's still gonna be on us to vote for it, which I highly doubt it'll happen.
It's still gonna be on us to pay for it.
Right. So, but I think, you're doing exactly what you need to do, and,
That's all you can ask.
I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you. Are you under the bus? I do appreciate it.
yeah. get her information until we know what we can.
This is just that, subdivision adjustment, right?
Yeah, it's where we're paying the same price for 5 years. So.
Excuse me, Jeremy,
Paying the same price for 5 years.
That's just the hookup thing, we have no comparable.
Just look at things, I'm curious. Questions, concerns? No. We'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to put ordinance number 49/2026 on its first reading, as the first reading by title.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
Bill number 49-2026, an ordinance amending chapter 405 subdivision regulations, municipal code of the city of Eldon, Missouri by revising section 405.230, improvement policy subsection A.
I make a motion to suspend the rules and put ordinance number 49/2026 on its second and final reading, as the first reading by title.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
Bill number 49-2026, an ordinance amending chapter 405 subdivision regulations in the municipal code of the city of Eldon, Missouri by revising section 405.230, improvement policy subsection A14. Alderman Phillips.
Yes.
Alderman Weaver.
Yes.
Alderman Crockett. Alderman Walker.
Yes.
Alderman Fair.
Yes.
Alderman Benjamin.
Yes.
Mayor Young of ayes and passage in a vote.
And I declare bill number 49/2026 to be ordinance 49/2026. I'd like to appoint Matt Lane to planning and zoning and Alderman Benjamin. You can't make that.
Oh,
Yeah.
what about Mr. Matt?
I make a motion to appoint Matthew Lane and Terry Benjamin to planning and zoning.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passed. Okay, next we've got a payroll deduction schedule for AirMed. I think you guys have something that David's kind of put together. There's one that will work out best for payroll. And you can see mark that one. 1 year, 24 deductions. You guys have that?
Did they meet with the employees?
Not yet, because once we decide on the payroll deduction, they have to be able to tell that information to the employees. And then if we get enough employees to sign up, that's when we can sign a contract. So we're kind of setting that up and authorizing it if they get them to do the contract.
Questions, concerns?
They are here if there's any questions.
Thanks for coming. I know you're getting into that.
Did you bring food? We're all.
Any questions or concerns on? Is there a motion?
You just need a motion to go with that one.
Yeah.
I make a motion to go with the one that David has indicated in your 2020.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passed. Okay, I've got one quick thing. You should have a map in front of you. The city owns a tiny piece of property, next to Colorado Street. What's the street? The 8th Street, I think. It's 8th. On 8th Street in Colorado, it's a real tiny sliver. Steve and I talked about, we don't know why we have it. The person that owns the lot next to it that's in blue, would like to buy that from the city so that they can make that a bigger piece of property. I think all their driveways maybe go through, there's been a while since I've looked at this, but I think it is their driveway. Part of their driveway goes through it already. I don't know why we've got. Yeah.
Thank you.
Steve, this little piece of property on Colorado and 8, remember that little sliver we talked about? There's nothing there, right, so you can see it. This little sliver right here. I talked to you about it a long time ago. Yeah. There's nothing there. Nothing. No water lines at the edge of the street. So I'd like to surplus property to do something where we can put that out for bid to see if someone wants to buy it. Yeah. Okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
Okay, does anyone have any questions about the report that I gave you? Reports that I gave you? Okay. Real quick, I asked Matt Lane to go ahead and talk about the progress of the insurance claim with the wastewater treatment plant with the UV flood. Can you speak to that?
Yep, I've been talking to Wrestler, who we actually bought the UV reactors through. The insurance just came down, we ended up having $195, almost $200,000 in actual damages. And, the proposal that Wrestler sent me is through Glasgow, who actually built the unit. They're gonna send 2 checks for 5 days. They're gonna replace everything electrical that was underwater. basically the only thing that's gonna be there that's there now is the framework. And, it's gonna be $238,000. I sent that bid to the insurance adjuster. He's gonna enter it into their system and let me know as soon as, he said, he doesn't see us having any kickback from the insurance company. Should go right through, he said he has nothing to compare to, this is obviously a one-time case. And when I met with FEMA last week, they actually think they're gonna be paying our $5,000 deductible. Since our units are both and everything in the building is covered, that's the only money will be actually qualified for that. But she's supposed to let me know on that too. I sent her all of our pictures, all the info I had on it, and hopefully they'll pay the $5,000 deductible.
Great.
So, that's
Thank you, good work, appreciate it.
Okay, next, Scott, do you wanna speak to your proposal at all? Do you wanna just give us some brief information and maybe table it?
Well, yeah, we just need to table this. This is that effluent pump that
Which
we
is
talked
completely
about a
separate
couple
from the
years ago.
UV insurance plan, just so everyone's clear.
Yeah. So we brought this back up, we updated the costs, got a hold of the manufacturers and updated all the costs and that, and that's what we're staying with that option. This is the cheapest option of all the options that we looked at.
Review that and then we'll come back next time and talk about it in more detail. I don't have anything.
Alderman Alderwood? Go, yeah.
On behalf of the fair board, the city owns a lot on each street that joins the fairgrounds. Would it be possible to make that part of the fairgrounds, another entrance and more parking?
That's something that, as soon as I learned that we own that lot, was my first thought was that we need to make that an entrance and an exit for the pit area, because that small entrance is really, narrow, and
Make
so.
no circle, we can use one for entrance and one for exit, and then we.
It's off Colorado, or it's off 8th Street.
It's 8th Street.
It's a wide empty lot, it's got trees and brush and things in it, but there's houses on either side of it, we own it, I don't know why we own it, but is the fair board just asking us to lease that to them as well?
Yeah, just make it part of the fairgrounds, yeah, as part of the lease, and just add it to it, and we'll maintain it, just like we do the rest of it.
Yeah, so like, I think it's a win-win for us, we'll have to bring back orders for next time, at least, but. We'll bring it back next time and we can order this one.
Okay, it's,
Any concerns with that?
It would save the city from having to maintain it.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Would you guys be responsible for putting rock down and everything like that, that would be required for that, because you can't?
yes,
There wouldn't be.
yes, we maintain it just like we do the other engines, keep it mowed, and keep it, rock it, and do it all, just like we do the entrance that we use now.
Yeah, but we wanna ask the do that next time. Or if we can get a map next time, so we can check that piece. Sounds good. Anything else? If not, I need a motion to go into closed session as authorized by section 610.021, section 1 legal, and section 3 hiring and discipline promoting.
Make motion for both of them.
Second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passed.
Alderman Phillips.
Yes.
Alderman Weaver.
Yes.
Alderman Crockett. Alderman Walker.
Yes.
Alderman Fair. Alderman Benjamin.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just.
I just have to,